All right, what's going on, guys? Oh, dogs. What's going on, guys? I'm Christian with the LayandPray Podcast. I've got my buddy Trenton, my buddy Jeffrey.
Hello.
I'm coming to you live from my home studio in Fairbanks, Alaska. Trenton, you're out in Cali. Jeffrey, Montana. So just a little bit of a, I guess, background and backstory for me. Never competed in combat sports, always been a fan. I was a wrestler in high school, and that's about the extent of that. Started watching UFC and paying attention to mixed martial arts around UFC 97 when the main event was Taos Leites versus Anderson Silva, and Chuck Liddell got knocked the fuck out by Mauricio Shogun Rua. So, yeah, that's the extent of my background. I've never competed in mixed martial arts. Always wanted to, never have. Trent, I don't know if you want to give a little bit of background, or Jeffrey, and then yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah, I'll give it a go. My name's Trenton. Like Huna said, I am from California. My little bit of background that I have is I wrestled through high school as well. I did have one amateur MMA fight and one by decision, and then the MMA scene kind of around our hometown and the teams and stuff kind of fell apart, so I just never continued to pursue that. There was no like real local gyms around here that I could have went to or anything like that without traveling, and I also started a family and stuff like that, so it kind of just fell through. I started watching the UFC. I'm trying to think back to my first fight that I remember. And I think the first one that I remember seeing was Matt Hughes versus Frank Trigg, I think back in the day, or
one or two.
I think it was the, I don't remember which one it was. It was the one where Matt Hughes picked him up and ran him across.
That was the
cage.
second one.
Yeah, the second one. I think that might have been my first memory of like actually getting into the UFC. And then I've been watching pretty consistently ever since. So a huge fan here, and it's my favorite sport to watch. So
sweet.
I'll pass it on to Jeffrey.
Yeah, not much to say, guys. I'm out here in Montana, but I'm originally from California. I wrestled throughout high school, for sure. A better wrestler than Trenton, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Do a little BJJ on the side, nothing special. And then modern army combatives. So I'm pretty much a fucking black belt, dude. You know? I mean, so yeah, that's it, man. Big UFC fan. I think the first fight that I ever watched was when Vitor fucking ran across the cage in his fucking wrestling shoes. Yeah, lit him up. So I think that was it. Yeah, I think that was the best. I think that was the first fight I ever watched. But I've been watching pretty consistently since then. So yeah, big fan. Excited to be here with you guys.
Cool. Awesome. All right. So, I mean, one of the biggest things that we're going to be discussing is the upcoming fight card, UFC 263, headlined by Israel Adesanya and Marvin Vettori. But we got a couple other things to discuss just with combat sports around the world, specifically in the United States with the Paul brothers. Obviously, that's not mixed martial arts, but it's still combat sports, and it's one of the big talking points right now. So I guess one of the big things is we got Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather. That just ended. I don't know if you guys watched that at all. I did not. I watched highlights of it, but I did not watch it. I was bowling instead. But based on the highlights that I watched,
probably a good choice.
Yeah. Well, my biggest thing is like I'm not gonna pay for that shit.
Yeah.
Like if I'm gonna watch a circus show, I'm gonna go to the circus. I'm not gonna go watch fucking celebrity fight one of the greatest boxers of all time. And honestly, I think even with the size difference, like a 35-pound, almost 40-pound difference, like I still think Floyd should have knocked him out or TKO'd him. But
Floyd's not known for his knockout power. He never really was.
Yeah.
He's a
knocked the fuck out of Ricky Hatton.
Yeah, but that was also in his prime.
Yeah,
and
I know.
and just he's probably the greatest defensive fighter of all time. I don't even think there's even an argument.
No,
that,
there's
really.
not.
Same,
But
same.
But you know, he's not known for his knockouts. And this guy, Logan Paul, was 0-1, but he is huge.
Yeah.
And he came in shape.
Yeah.
And to his credit, I mean, he went the 8 rounds. And,
he did something Conor McGregor didn't do, even though Conor and him were 12 round.
But
Conor looked better.
Yeah.
Conor looked better. Conor was.
That's because he was
more competitive, in my opinion. And the only difference is that Conor gassed, and he's a smaller guy than Logan by far. You know,
by 35 or 40 pounds.
Yeah. So in my opinion, I mean, Logan survived, and I thought he did well, but like, it didn't look good. He didn't look like a seasoned fighter or a boxer by any means whatsoever. And I think in the first round, at the end of the first round, was like pretty much the only success he had when he bull rushed.
Yeah, when he bull rushed. That's like the highlight that I watched of his.
Yeah, and then like even on top of that, like his combinations looked very amateur and very
they were fucking wide.
I mean, yeah. And that was just Mayweather let that happen. For one, I mean, I don't know if he could have stopped it because of the size, but he let it happen to see his speed, to see his power, and all that. So like that wasn't even he wasn't even a threat at that point. He was just like, oh, and I think after that Mayweather was like, okay, this is ridiculous. You know, like.
Yeah, well, and one thing that I do want to say, like to preface all this stuff, like even though it's a circus show, to me personally, like it doesn't change the fact that I still think like Jake and Logan are fucking smart as shit.
Oh, like, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because who in their right mind would be like, if you walked up to me and you're like, hey, you want to make $20 million? I'd be like, doing what? And they're like fighting Floyd Mayweather. I'd be like, sure, why not? Like, I guess. Or hey, you want to make you want to make $500,000 or whatever Ben Askren made to fight Logan. You know, like, you want to make that much money? It'd be like, what do I have to do? And they're like, go in there and get one hitter quitter, and go fucking fall on your face. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Here's my thing. I think if you ask me, it's a little, look, here's the deal. I ain't paying for that shit neither. Right.
Yeah. But
I watched the shit out of it. And I think this is a win for everybody. And the reason I say that is first of all, it brings eyes back to boxing, right? Yep. Like that's the big thing, because I think everybody knows here in this scene that mixed martial arts is kind of taken over, the combat sports scene, and boxing fell by the wayside. You need something important, you need something exciting, or you need something that's going to appeal to the lower the lower age brackets. You know what I mean?
Big time.
So I think that's a win. Logan Paul made 20 mil, win. Yeah. What Floyd Mayweather make?
Like 120 mil.
Yeah, fucking win. You know? And not only that, like, let's be real. Like, Logan Paul didn't look good, and he was much bigger. But, I mean, he survived fucking Floyd Mayweather, and Floyd Mayweather was throwing some shit for a little bit. I'm not saying that he was Ricky Hadley in it and shit, but he was throwing some combos and stuff, and he was pressing that fight after the third round pretty consistently. Yeah. Now, here's where I say, Floyd Mayweather might have come off looking like shit. He's 44?
44.
Yeah.
44, right?
Dude's on the tail end of his career by a long shot.
Now, also, keep in mind that my man just made $100 million, right? If you knock Paul out, if you make this a one-sided affair, you know what you don't get?
A rematch?
Other opportunities to make $100 million.
A rematch.
So that's my thing. Like, it is what I expected it to be, boring and stuff like that. But kudos to Jake Paul. Kudos to fucking Floyd Mayweather for 44 years old. Imagine Floyd Mayweather gets knocked out by Logan Paul.
I know.
It's so damaging for him. So kudos to everybody involved.
Especially in a what do you call it? Like a exhibition
fight.
Well,
where-
that's what I mean.
Well, and the thing, here's another thing that frustrates me, which kind of ties into our next part, where what I'd like to talk about is also Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley, because that is official. That's officially going to happen. But you have Jake Paul on Twitter going, my brother just defeated the greatest boxer of all time, 50-1, and all this other stuff. And it's like, obviously it's a load of shit. There's no way.
Well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah. And it's like, but there's no refs, or there's no scoring.
Judges.
Yeah, there's no judges to be like, okay, this is what it was. Because I guarantee you on most of those fight cards, it was 10-9.
Oh yeah.
And also, I don't know if this actually happened. It's just something that I saw. And obviously everything we see on the internet isn't real. Doesn't mean it's real. But they were tied up in like dirty boxing. And Floyd hit him like right behind the ear and was like holding his ass up. And it looked like if Floyd wasn't holding him up, he would have just dropped. And
he landed some clean shots.
Yeah. But that's why I was like, so, is he like, what's the premise of this? Like, unless he was actually just leaning on him because he was tired, or
I don't buy into that theory, dude. I watched it over and I don't buy that shit.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things. It's something that people do to create Twitter drama.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So,
I think he's a big dude with a decent chin, and he didn't get dropped by a way smaller
shredded.
guy. So,
he's like on that Paulo.
He looked good, man.
He's on that Paulo Costa wine diet, dude.
At least he didn't get butt fucked, dude.
Yeah.
Poor Paulo Costa, man.
All right. So, and then I guess let's just transition to this next one. So, Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley. Like I said already, it's been announced. It's official. It's going to happen. Oh, Coda. No.
Look back at you like, what the heck, man?
Can you guys hear that?
Yeah, just a little bit. Not that bad.
So the one thing that I'll say about this is I'm glad that there's a guy, even if it's Tyron Woodley, that boy's got hands. So obviously we haven't seen anything from him. Like the Vicente Luque fight that he had recently, he actually looked like he was starting to return to his like former self. Like,
I think that was pressure from Dana, but maybe not Dana, but Dana White and the fans, because everybody's been saying that he's been very passive in his fights and he doesn't have that hunger or the aggression, so like he came out with fire on that one, and it cost him the fight.
Yeah. But that's because he was over committing on trying to knock him out.
Yeah.
And you're going up against the guy in Vicente Luque who's on a really good winning streak. And
he's really fucking good.
And he's good. He's a Brazilian. He's like I guess obviously, we have like the Brazilians that are like knockout specialists like Junior Dos Santos, John Lineker, he's killing it in ONE FC right now. Marlon Moraes is a decent striker as well, but Vicente Luque is a guy who's very well balanced in both ground and striking. And I just think that he's just a younger guy who's hungrier right now. I think that was the biggest, I think that was the biggest thing in that fight, was that Vicente is still hungry. He
showed durability, man.
Yeah,
he got caught with some clean shots. And
he got dropped. And he still survived. Yeah,
and he survived. So he's a dog for sure.
Yeah, and that's the one thing. Like when they were announcing when they announced the Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley fight, dude, I was like, good on you, because you're fighting somebody who's actually a fighter, like a stand-up fighter. Like Ben Askren is not. But I still don't know. Like, I want Tyron Woodley to win, but I honestly don't know if he will. And this is not.
I think he will.
I hope he does, but I don't know if he will, because, dude, Jake is not a bad boxer. Like,
no, he is way better than Logan.
Yeah.
And they're in different fucking stratospheres.
Yeah.
Dude. He's actually very talented. And don't get me wrong, man. Like, I'm not shitting on either of them. They're both fucking super athletic.
Yeah.
You know, and Logan looked fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
Conditioning wise and stuff.
Oh yeah, big time.
But Jake's legit, man. He's fucking legit, dude. But look, here's the deal. Tyron Woodley is a fucking animal.
Yeah.
You know, and people shit on Tyron Woodley for losing those fights. He's been fighting the best of the best for fucking years now.
Yeah. That's a valid point too.
For years, you know, so it's easy to look like shit when you're fighting fucking
Even
Usman.
Wonderboy Thompson.
Yeah.
like Usman, dude.
Yeah.
You know, so I highly doubt that Woodley is going to go in and absolutely shit the bed against Jake Paul. I have a hard time believing that.
Mhm.
And that's nothing on Jake Paul. It's just Tyron Woodley has been a champion level fighter in the premier fighting league in the world, basically, for what? Fucking decade almost, you know? He's
Well, it all
so
started with his knockout of Josh Koscheck.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's just so good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you look at because he beat Robbie, you know, knocked him out, got the title. I don't even remember all of his title defenses. He defended it twice against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, for sure.
Yep.
But those fights were like, in the first fight, it was so
Darren
good.
Till.
That was the one performance where I was like, holy shit, like, good. We're back to seeing a finish from Tyron Woodley.
Yeah.
And then
With a submission too.
yeah, with Anaconda choke, right?
Yeah, I think it was an Anaconda.
I mean, it was like a side control Anaconda.
Yeah.
And but then, you know, he loses to Kamaru. And I honestly think like he just wasn't focused on just being a champion. I think he was focused on his rap career, because it's like, you know, if you're gonna put out any music, right now is the best time while you're the champion because you're relevant, you know. But yeah, got absolutely. I've never seen such a one-sided, like, you know, champion that's been defending multiple times. You might see it in like their first title defense because, you know, it's their first title defense. But I mean, Kamaru put it on him.
Here's what I don't think a lot of people are taking into account neither. And dude, before I say this, let me preface this with, I'm not shitting on fucking boxing. Okay. If anybody watches this, you're a boxer. Look, dude, I'm not shitting on boxing. Here's the deal though. He's older, right? He's an older dude. He's had shoulder problems, knee problems and shit like that.
Yeah, he had torn labrum in this fight with Damian Maia.
Yeah. So like, I don't fucking believe that in his train up for Jake Paul is going to be anywhere near the toll on his body that we saw for him preparing for Usman, you know? Like, I don't see that. So I think he's going to go in there healthy. I think he's going to go in there conditioned. I think he's going to take this shit serious because, like everybody says, you know, when Askren was fighting, you know, everybody's like, hey man, we'll fucking forgive you.
Yeah.
For the Masvidal shit. Just please knock this fucking guy out, you know?
Yeah.
So like, Woodley's got the whole MMA community on his fucking side, you know? He might not have the TikTokers, but he's sure as fuck got the MMA community. So I think that's gonna play a big role, just his health and his overall like well-being, you know?
Well, I think another part those are really good points. I think the biggest thing was towards the end, because like he lost to Kamaru, he lost to Colby, he lost to Vicente, he lost to he was on like a four or five. No, he was on a 3-fight skid. So he lost to Kamaru, he lost to Colby, and he lost to Vicente. Meanwhile, Donald Cerrone's lost like 5 or 6 in a row. But
I want to say he lost another one. I think he lost 4 in a row, didn't he?
I don't remember. You might have to pull it up and look. I don't know.
Let me check it. You guys keep talking.
Yeah.
It's fine. I just want to check real quick.
So, you know, and obviously it's like we talked about with the Vicente Luque stuff, is I don't think he had the fire to do MMA anymore. Like you're still getting paid. You're still getting paid good, but you're not getting paid, you know, champion pay. So And also he knows he's probably never going to get back to getting his title back, because if he had a closer fight with Kamaru, probably, but that was an absolute annihilation for 5 rounds.
Who's Burns? Gilbert Burns.
Oh yeah, he lost to Gilbert Burns too.
Gilbert Burns, yeah.
That's right.
Look at that.
And there's no shame in losing to
exactly. You got 4 losses in a row to Usman,
top 10.
Burns, Covington, and Luque.
three
murderers.
Vicente Luque might even be top 5 right now.
They're murderers. All the way.
Yeah.
And so
sorry about that, guys. I was gonna load that or look that up faster, but my son came in.
It's all good. There's no shame, especially because he's 35, 36.
Yeah, he's on the older side.
So there's no shame in losing to There's no shame in losing to
some of the greatest,
some of those guys in the division. Yeah.
Bro, he's 39.
Whoa. Good for him.
You know, yeah.
Yo, he's older than I thought he was, to be honest.
Yeah.
Hey, yo, and
he's in great shape, dude.
Looks fantastic.
He's in great shape. So yeah, again, there's nothing wrong with losing to like murderer's row of the welterweight division. But
yeah.
So I don't know if you guys have seen any of the videos for the promotion, the lead up to their fight, but Jake Paul does not want to look at, he won't even look at Tyron Woodley, and he stares off, it almost looks like, oh shit, I bit off more than I could chew.
Here is
you
my
know
one
what? It
thing
might
with
be.
this. This is my one wish, and I'll not talk about these exhibition fights anymore. If we're gonna do these exhibition fights, right? Where Jake Paul can talk shit to Tyron Woodley.
Know this is going.
If he beats him, bro, you got to do like an NCAA home and home. You know, like, hey, Jake Paul, step in the cage with Tyron Woodley. You will get fucking murdered.
Yeah,
murdered. So when all these fucking amateur boxers or whatever, or these guys that want to be pros, all these social media guys that want to step in the fucking ring and want to talk shit about how you're the fucking best ever, bro, you would get murdered, man. You would die in that fucking cage. So I don't want to hear this bullshit, you know? That's what makes me mad about all this, is like this whole thing, you're going to talk shit about how you beat Tyron Woodley. Bro, Tyron Woodley just didn't use 97% of his tools.
Yeah. So that's a valid point.
That's what makes me mad about all these, you know? It's like, I just want to see that part of it.
He fought, there's a video that went out where he fought a guy who's a mixed martial artist. I think he's primarily a grappler though. And dude, that guy put it on Jake for the whole time, and then TKO'd him. And it was just a stupid YouTube video, but the guy ended up posting after the Ben Askren fight, throwing it up, and he's like, just remember who your real daddy is and all this other stuff.
I mean, yeah.
And it's
what's the video of one of the Pauls wrestling with who was he wrestling with?
He was wrestling with Paulo Costa.
Yeah, Paulo Costa.
Yeah, that was Logan.
Good.
Yeah,
he's really good. But let's not get crazy. You know what I'm saying? When you're not throwing in submissions and you're not throwing kicks and you're not throwing fucking, all the tools that you've learned over all these years at somebody, it's easy to look good. And I'm not saying he's not athletic, and I'm not saying he's not a good wrestler. But when you put things together, no.
So, and here's another thing to think, we all wrestle. So you guys know what it's like to go light in practice and scramble and clearly they're not trying to hold each other in those positions. It's almost like doing a choreographed dance, but there's no practicing. It's just
like
on
flowing.
the fly.
It's like flowing in.
It's almost like doing capoeira, or it's more do a switch, do a sit out, do a Zimmer,
it's flow
whizzer,
wrestling. Flow wrestling, dude.
Exactly.
Shout out flow wrestling, dude.
So that's another reason why I was kudos to you, because it didn't look good, but at the same time, it's not legitimate fighting, because I guarantee you, if Paulo Costa wanted to, he could just knee you into oblivion from your side.
Yeah, and you also got to think about how MMA wrestling and regular wrestling are very different.
Dude,
much different.
With the cage and everything in play, It's very different. They might be good wrestlers, but you throw a cage in there and shit turns sideways real fast. You know what I mean? Like it's different.
It's just like that. What's the Eddie Bravo invitational things that he's doing? You
Yeah.
know, where they can throw slaps and strikes and stuff in jujitsu. Now, you know, like combat jujitsu or whatever they're calling it, fucking changes the game, man.
But
Changes the fucking game.
that's what like what Boss Rutan did. Pancrase, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like what that was. That was submission grappling with open hand, like palm striking.
Yeah.
That's why when he was smashing fools,
he was dude.
with his
that
palm.
shit looked like it hurt so bad.
Oh yeah,
Dude,
he was doing that shit in
you
UFC, like just bah.
Yeah. So and that's like, you know, obviously he was really good at that, but that's kind of what I think that is going to turn into. Is it's like you might as well just call it a pancrase. Like
It's kind of like isn't that combat sambo kind of like that, or like sambo, like isn't that
combat
kinda,
sambo is similar,
yeah.
except for combat
Sambo's
sambo.
not.
No, combat sambo is more like kickboxing, but there's more
Okay.
grappling involved. Like they wear headgear. I'm pretty sure sambo is an Olympic sport too.
It is.
And like, I mean, I'd love to see Khabib win a gold medal if he's done fighting. Why don't you go win a gold medal?
Now
Well,
that
I don't think you can
now that
now,
I
you're
just put that
professional,
there on
right?
the internet, I hope that we got that right, because I think it is. I think it is Sambo Olympic. Yeah, it is.
So yeah, and that's I think in terms of you know getting back to where we were at with this Jake Paul Tyron Woodley thing. I'm honestly like, again, I really want Tyron Woodley to win. I really do. And it's going to be, what Tyron Woodley are we getting? Like, are we getting a guy who's like really focused? Are we getting a guy who's like when he was knocking motherfuckers out left and right leading up to his getting the title? Or are we getting a guy who's going to be content with the payday that he's getting, because it's probably the biggest payday he's going to get, So, and I think another thing that's nice too is this is not going to be on Triller. It's going to be on Showtime.
Yeah.
So that will help in terms of them making more money, because I don't know if you watched the Ben Askren and Jake Paul, or Jake Paul versus
Unfortunately,
Ben Askren. I paid for that because I know, or I met Ben when he came to my hometown for a wrestling camp. So it's like, I will support him because even if it's, $50 or $60, he still gets some of that.
mm-hmm.
And so I was like, I'll support him in terms of that. But God, dude, like that whole thing, it was 2.5 hours of lap dances and naked women and stuff. And I'm like,
yeah.
And
that whole setup was a joke, dude. Like that whole promotion where they had like Snoop Dogg and everybody else doing the announcing and all that stuff. It was kind of a joke.
And Oscar De La
like the
Hoya
Mayweather
was
one was put up way better.
Mind. Oscar
De
De La Hoya was
Logan.
Yeah. Oscar De La Hoya was like high or drunk, or high and drunk. And it's like he kept calling Frank Mir. He was like Frank Mir.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug, dude.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug. Yeah, I don't know. It's just such a gong show.
Before we switch subjects, though, I might be the only one here, but I give Jake Paul a chance.
I said I give him a chance.
Yeah.
I give him a chance. I want Tyron Woodley to win.
Oh, yeah.
But I give Jake Paul a chance because he is a good boxer.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
I wouldn't
say I don't
he's
think
not
he's
gonna
professional,
fight. No,
or like
maybe
professional level, but like low level professional. He's not in the top 10 or anything like that. But like he's got good hands, he's got good power. Their size is going to be way more comparable now than it was versus Ben Askren. Ben Askren is a bloated 155er, probably, dude. To be real.
No, 165. Remember, he was asking Dana to open up the 165 pound.
But Tyron Woodley is a legit welterweight, and he's a big dude. So I mean, it's going to be closer in size, closer in power, and I'm interested to see what happens. I just hope that this is a real fight too. This isn't an exhibition, right? This is
real.
Yeah, this is a they're going to be judges. There's going to be a winner. There's going to be a loser. This one's more intriguing to me.
As long as
sure.
it's not Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. It's like no knockouts.
Yeah, I watched the
you gotta
shit
wear
out of
head
that too.
Gotta wear headgear. There is no winners. There's gonna.
I guess
like.
I guess just ending this subject for us. I guess is I just refuse to believe that Tyron Woodley is going to lose to the. He's just such a fucking animal, dude.
I know.
He's so good.
I'm also just
sure.
holding out hope that there's gonna be one guy from the MMA community that's gonna, just. I'm not even joking. I want to see a Francis Ngannou versus Alistair Overeem. That's all I want. And just like flatlined and then stand over you like Roy Jones Jr. would do. All right.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Going back to Paulo Costa. I don't know if you guys were aware, backed out of his fight with Jared Cannonier over fighter pay. So Kevin Gastelum's going to step in. He's going to take over that fight with Jared Cannonier, which I think is an awesome fight.
That's a good fight.
Jared Cannonier was actually the Alaska Fighting Championship heavyweight champion before he went to the UFC.
Boom.
So,
Nice.
Yeah. Kill a gorilla.
Gotta
dude.
win. Gotta win, dude.
Yeah. But
I do like me some Gastelum though.
I know, so do I.
Me too.
That's tough, but I do like
He's
that
a gamer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a baller, dude.
His fight with Israel Adesanya is one of the best fights.
One of the
I've ever
greatest
watched in
fights of
my
all
life.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one, Weili Zhang versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk.
Ooh.
The Brandon Moreno versus Davison Figueiredo fight. Dude, there's within the last year and a half, 2 years, we've had some absolute bangers,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
They don't really get the credit as the old classics either.
no.
Because they're so common now. Like all these wars are pretty common these days, and they just don't get the attention that they used to get. Like the Stephan Bonner and Forrest Griffin fight. That one's legendary forever.
That one's legendary
Diego
forever
Sanchez,
because that's versus Clay Guida. Yeah.
Clay Guida or even
Gilbert Melendez.
Like,
Yeah.
woo, baby, those fireworks, dude.
Jeffrey and I have talked about
what's gonna live forever?
Damian Maia versus Tyron Woodley.
Yeah. Diego Sanchez hanging upside down, dude, getting beat on. That's
Popped
gonna live
up
And
forever.
it's on the internet, so it's forever.
Jesus, man.
Yeah.
That one made me
Yeah.
sick, dude. I watched that and I was like, what is he thinking? Like,
Not.
what is going
He's-
through these people's head? Like,
Not thinking. That's the problem. Not thinking.
I just saw calls on the internet just being like, somebody saved this man from himself. Like, someone's got to get a friend or a family member or someone to step in and give this man an intervention or something. Like Diego's always been a strange cat. Don't get me wrong, but that was next level. Like, what is happening here? Like, that was sad to watch.
I mean, we could stay on this topic too, and then come back to the Paulo Costa stuff.
No,
but-
let's go. Let's go to Paul.
I was about to say, I was like,
I'll talk for 7 hours.
Yeah, and that's
I just got some opinions. That's it.
Well, and obviously, I think we're all in agreement that Diego got taken advantage of, and there's a lot of stuff going on upstairs for him that's not right. He's been in too many wars. His brain's rattled, and he's at this point, he needs help. And so, and I guess we can leave it at that. So, Paulo Costa again backed out of his fight, and it was all about fighters' pay. So Paulo Costa, who's not a champion, he posted on Twitter. He was like 350K. Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? It's like, dude, you're not even the champ and you're making 350K. What? So meanwhile, you got girls that are in the Lauren Murphy, who's fighting on this upcoming card, also from Alaska, Anchorage gal. But I'm pretty sure.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out Lauren Murphy. But I don't even think I don't even think she makes $50,000 for with win bonuses and stuff. But meanwhile, because if you're natural, good on you. But you're you're not the champion. You fought for a title, but you got,
and your last performance was very
dog
bad.
shit.
That's my thing. With this whole dude, I'm all about getting as much fucking money as you can.
I'm all for the fight.
I think they're underpaid like a motherfucker.
Oh yeah.
But if you got to have another fight, man, before you fucking pull this bullshit.
Mhm.
You know, you got to have it because you came out there and you want to talk about being professional and shit like that. Bro, what's your excuse? You were hungover and you were all this, like, dude, you're talking about you're talking about being a professional. Meanwhile, you just got absolutely embarrassed and you've been making excuses for the past fucking
a year. Like,
and
get
you're
the
trying
fuck
to
out of here, dude.
renegotiate
And
your
you're
contract.
trying to, get out of here, man. Get fucking move along, dude.
Yeah.
Move
Well,
along.
another thing, like, and obviously for me personally, I love Dana White. Like, the UFC would not be where it is today if it weren't for Dana White. Like, I'm sure he's a prick. I'm sure, like, he's the president of one of the largest growing companies in the last 20 or 30 years. Like, you don't get there by being a nice guy all the time. That being said, Dana posted on Twitter, or he said during the post-fight press conference from last week's UFC event, he was like, good on you. Like, baby, if you wanted to make that kind of money, you should have started a YouTube channel when you were 13. Like, in the grand scheme of things, like, obviously he's from Brazil and he probably grew up in, the slums.
Not looking like that, dude.
Not,
he was
well,
fucking
looking like
beautiful.
that.
Maybe not.
Well, shit, maybe you should pull out a page of Luke Rockhold's thing and start modeling.
Go start modeling. And so that's another thing. Like, and Dana proved a good point there. He's like, if this is what you absolutely wanted, maybe these were the things that you should have done. And it's nice to look back and be like, or it's not nice, but it's easy to look back and think like, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Shit, had I known that Logan Paul and Jake Paul would have made millions of dollars to fight, these kind of fights, maybe I should have started a YouTube channel when I was, 13 years old. Maybe I should have. But with that, there's just like, and I'm all for fighters pay too. Like, I want the fighters to get paid, but I don't want Paulo Costa I don't even want Paulo Costa getting paid $350,000 when, like, what are some of the fights that he's had? Like, he had a good fight against Uriah Hall. He had a good fight.
He had that banger against
with Yoel Romero.
With Romero, yeah, and that was a fucking great fight.
Yeah,
he looked good.
But you can't come out here and if
nobody walks down Yoel.
Effectively go on strike when you. It's one thing to get beat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve to have this stance because he got beat.
Yeah.
Like, you got embarrassed in the biggest fight of your life, right? And you have effectively been saying that you didn't take this fight seriously. And
I was hungover
correctly, and you were hungover.
Yeah.
Well, guess what, man? Fuck you then.
That's on you.
Like, that's on you, dude.
Yeah.
And you had the opportunity to make more money. If you would have beat fucking Adesanya, Jesus Christ, man.
You'd be the champ and you'd be making $1 million. You'd get the pay-per-view.
But if you're not taking it seriously, why the fuck would Dana White shell out this money for you when you're just going to go out there and not be a professional?
Yeah. Well, and that's another
all that bullshit from him, dude. I don't like that shit.
And that's, for me, my biggest thing, like you said, is if this is the biggest fight of your life, if this is like your biggest rival and all this other stuff, I think it's just an excuse. I don't think he actually was hungover. I think he's just making excuses.
But that's even worse.
I know, and that's worse because it's like
why
you can't accept defeat.
Yo, come out, be humble, say you got your fucking ass kicked. I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna lay this motherfucker out. You know what I'm saying? Like, do it that way. You don't come in and say like, "Oh, I was hungover. I did this."
It's like, why are you drinking
wine all night?
Yeah,
like,
why?
You didn't see the backlash that John Jones took?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
When he came in and was like, "Oh, dude, I was partying and shit like that." That's why I look like
no,
shit.
because he was performing.
And he won.
Because he was knocking DC out with the head kicks.
Yeah,
dude.
And he won. Now you got, dude, you literally got fucking you got embarrassed, and then Adesanya fucking doggy styled you in the middle of the fucking in the cage. Like, get out of here, dude. That's
and he was more pissed about that than losing.
Yeah, than losing.
Fight. He was like, "Hey,
be professional.
I'll get you for that and all this shit." I'm like, bro, you couldn't get him when you were in there. What makes you think you could do it now? Like, you got fucked up, dude.
So with him pulling out, like, hey man, good on you, dude. And I hope you make money somewhere, and I hope you get more fights and stuff like that. But to take this stance after that fight and after the way and what your excuses are and what you're saying happened, to take that stance, I don't get the fuck out of here.
Well, and that's another good point, because I just think, obviously there's guys that have leverage. Guys like John Jones have leverage because
he's the greatest fighter of all time.
Yeah, that's exactly why. Paulo Costa hasn't proven that. And that's, for me, where I don't think John Jones is worth $30 million. Sorry. You're not going to get paid $30 million when you've been an eyesore to the UFC based on just your antics.
Well, not only that, I think that Dana White's realized that the UFC is doing fine without John Jones.
Oh, yeah. That's because it's the fastest growing
it.
sport of all time.
Well, they've realized it on what, 3 occasions now?
Yeah.
When John Jones has been in car accidents, when he's
tested
positive, and like all these things. So like Dana White doesn't have to worry about, like they've seen it a couple times. Like, we don't need John Jones to continue. And these fighters, they think they have the leverage that they, like John Jones, I want this much money to fight Francis. Well, there's a hungry dog that'll take less money for you and fight Francis right now. And that's
Derek Lewis is like, shit, give me $8 million.
He's like, shit, dude, I'll take that shit right now. Like, and the same thing with Paulo Costa. I'm not doing this till we get more money. Kelvin Gastelum steps in. Sorry, bud. Like, you're missing the opportunities.
And if we're being completely honest, Gastelum's a better draw for me than Costa.
Gastelum's
a fucking animal, dude.
Gastelum versus Adesanya. I would rather see that. Like, I want Jared Cannonier to win. I want Jared Cannonier to win, because it's already been, Dana White already came out and said Robert Whittaker is absolutely getting the next title shot.
Yeah.
Like, so Robert Whittaker he's not scheduled to fight anybody because they're
Whittaker
scheduled
just
to fight
beat Cannonier, so
yeah, and broke his arm and put on an amazing performance on top of beating Gastelum, on top of beating Darren Till.
He's earned his way back.
Yeah, well, he should have been fighting for the belt.
Yeah,
after he beat Gastelum, I think. I don't even think he should have fought Cannonier. Good on him, because he took that risk and he won anyways.
Yeah. He's a smart fighter, man. He wants to be ready when he gets back,
Yeah. And I think, and Jared Cannonier, I watched an interview that he did with the Schmo. I don't know if you've watched the Schmo, but he was saying that basically, like, his arm didn't heal properly from it breaking, so it like took a longer period of time than it should have, because he was hoping he'd be back before, like he was hoping he could fight sooner than what he's going to be fighting.
Yeah.
But because his arm didn't heal properly, it was just one of those things.
Well, hopefully he's taking the full time to recover, because
he is. Yeah.
I mean, Gastelum's not an easy fight for anybody.
No, but the thing is, that's the other thing. I love Kelvin Gastelum, but he's also another guy where you don't know what you're going to get, because he could put on an amazing performance where, like, he, threw a 3-piece on Michael Bisping.
Yeah.
And then he
performance like it is Adesanya. Woo, baby.
But he's also had performances where he's like really hasn't showed up, where he lost to Darren Till, where he lost to it wasn't a terrible fight. Robert Whittaker's just that good.
Yeah. It was a good fight, I thought.
Yeah,
he just got outclassed.
He just got outclassed because Robert Whittaker is that good.
Yeah.
And I think
like Gastelum too, because even though he might not look good, you're getting it all from him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, people just, styles make fights, right? And sometimes you just look like fucking shit, man.
And let's be real, he's probably a welterweight.
Yeah, and I don't have any
doesn't
problem
like to cut the weight.
with Gastelum taking this fight. I'd rather see this shit than fucking Costa, dude.
Yeah.
Gastelum could make the weight, dude. That guy has made 170 before. He could fight there. He's carrying extra weight on him. Yeah, he chooses not to. He likes to smoke a little bit of weed and eat a little bit of food. It's not, not a knock on him, but he could make the weight if he took it serious.
But
shout out Kevin Gastelum.
But that's the problem is, like, I'm pretty sure he has a wrestling background, but he's like one of the wrestlers that has consistently had problems with making weight.
Yeah.
I've never met a wrestler, like a serious wrestler, that's had so much trouble making weight. I'll be honest, Melvin Gillard, after he left UFC, I think he missed weight like almost every single fight that he fought outside of the UFC. It was recently I looked up, because he was one of my favorite fighters for a long time. And then after he got out of the UFC, I was like, man, I wonder what he's doing. he fought Israel Adesanya in New Zealand.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, lost, and he missed weight on top of missing weight for 9 out of the 10 other fights he fought after he left the UFC.
He's like the who was it? Like the Anthony Johnson
Oh,
but, you know, like
that guy
like,
was 205 pounder fighting at 170.
How did
That man
Melvin Gillard
should
actually
not.
make 155 either? Melvin Gillard is thick as shit. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and then he goes up and
he can't make weight at 170 and he
classes.
can't make
You know,
weight
you're
at
like,
185. He missed weight
know
at
what? It's
185.
Like, it is what it is. Yeah, same thing with Johnson. Remember, he was fighting at 170 and then he moved up to fight Vitor Belfort and missed weight at 185, and everybody was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, but then
you just gained 15 pounds and you still missed weight. Like, what the fuck is that?
But
and then he had to go up to 205.
No, he went to he went to 265 and fought heavyweight for a World Series of Fighting.
Yeah,
and then got his way back and then dropped to 205 and went on a tear.
It's like some of these guys just cut so much weight. I think the problem with Kelvin is that he maybe he cut weight for so long that he's over it. You just don't want to cut that weight, and it's healthier to not cut that weight. Like it's harder on your body. You're getting older. You're not that young anymore.
Yeah,
and it takes its toll on you. So to be healthy, stop cutting so much weight and be all right.
I think
he looks good at 185. I think he's just undersized.
That's a whole nother conversation that we need that needs to be had by somebody. Is the whole weight cutting thing.
Well, the World Series of Fighting is doing it a little different. That's probably a pretty good way to do it. But
one is doing the best thing. One FC is doing the best thing. It's a hydration. Hydration testing where, like they have weight classes, but obviously like the biggest problem in the States with what we do, and obviously we wrestled, so we know, is you got guys that are depleting themselves of so much water. Because obviously our body is a majority of our body is water weight, so we're depleting ourselves. And then it's no wonder, like I think back on some of my, like just wrestling, like in the state of Alaska, a sauna suit's illegal to use. You can't use a sauna suit. And guess what? I did. I just wore like 4 layers over the top. So you didn't know that I was wearing a sauna suit. And I just depleted myself of so much water, and I was already hungry, and I was tired from waking up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, or staying up late to cut weight. And I wrestled like dog shit because I was tired, because I had cut so much weight and I had no water. And then I would be stupid. Like I would always tell myself, well, I'm not going to overconsume like water. I'm not going to eat too much. But after you make weight on the first day, you still got to make weight the second or third day. Mm-hmm. And I would be 5 or 6 pounds overweight, and I'd have to cut one more day. Like I'd have to cut weight again, because in the United States, or in each individual state, we have weight classes, and you got to make that weight. And you're given a 1 pound weight allowance.
Bro, I'm so fucking old, man. I wrestled in the wild west, dude. Like we were fucking doing some wild shit, Bro, my coach would shout out, man. If he ever sees this, shout the fuck out. Because I'd be like a pound over, and this dude be like, "Open your mouth," and he'd throw Copenhagen in the back of my fucking hit my, and then I just puke. Like go make weight. You're like, oh shit, like it was wild.
It worked.
Yeah, it's wild, man. But yeah, we got to fix that though.
Yeah, well. Dude, so obviously for first podcast, this is going to be really revealing, but so we were in Juneau for we were on our way to a tournament, and we had gone on like this really long run. I was wearing a sauna suit, and I was like so depleted, and I checked my weight. I was like severe, like I was underweight after running. I wrestled at 145 then. And I checked my weight. I was like 138 pounds or 137 pounds. Like I was way underweight, and I was so happy because that was the lowest I'd been all year. So I drank a bunch of water. Well, before we went on the run, I drank milk and magnesia.
Oh God, no.
I drank milk and magnesia because I was trying to lose as much weight as possible. Well, all I had in my system was water. I drank so much water. Dude, my gut hurt so bad. Went to the bathroom. I was just shitting water.
There goes the Hershey squirts.
No, it was just water. There was no
Just water.
coloration, just water.
Peeing out your butt.
Yeah. So
that's not good.
No, and that's like, obviously weight cutting is a problem. Going back
Getting
to
the wrestling doing that too. That's a rough one.
Yeah. So yeah, but obviously, fighters pay is an issue, but in terms of Paulo Costa, I think he's kind of screwing himself.
Yeah.
And then weight cutting is another issue, but
There's
at the same time
and place to renegotiate contracts, and it's not after a loss.
And it's not after you haven't fought since that loss.
Yeah. It's not a couple of weeks before your next fight is scheduled either.
Yeah. That, and I don't even know.
Hey, before we switch subjects again, shout out Juneau, Alaska, 2005, probably. No, 4. They had a strip club attached to a gas station. That shit was dope. So shout out Juneau, dude.
Shout out Juneau, Alaska.
Oh, shit.
All right. So, let's see here. Next up, obviously, last night, I don't know if you watched the Claressa Shields fight or if you watched any of the highlights from PFL last night. Trenton, I know you were watching.
Yeah.
I went back and I watched some of the highlights. I didn't watch your boy Tyler Diamond. Is that his name?
Yeah, Tyler Diamond. He was from Oroville, California, and they actually said it on air.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, so he's just a local guy from where I'm from. Just a little backstory. He trained, I don't know if they still do commonly, but he trained with Benito Lopez in the UFC. And they're just a couple local guys from around here. And so I kind of follow his fights and keep up. And he had the fight in the PFL. He ended up losing. And dude's got a hell of a chin. I mean, he took a beating and still, he stayed strong, but he lost the decision. And it was funny. The announcers and everything were talking about his mullet, and they're like, how is this guy still standing and all this stuff? And they're like, well, people don't know this, but like the mullet is like a helmet and like all this stuff, because he was taking all these shots. And it was just cool. They're like, he calls himself a NorCal hillbilly, and it was just funny.
He ain't wrong.
Like that. Yeah, it's funny. So it was good. He put on a good fight. He just he needs to get back to the drawing board and figure it out. But I have faith in him. And then the Claressa Shields fight was interesting.
You said so. She fought Brittany Elkin.
Yeah,
and Brittany Elkin had a losing record of 3-6.
Correct.
And obviously Claressa Shields, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, 2012, 2016. And dude, she won her first gold when she was 17.
Woo.
That's pretty impressive. So I honestly thought with her going to Jackson Winklejohn was probably the best decision she made in terms of like where she was going to go for fight prep. Just because there's so many diverse coaches and athletes there. With that said, based on what you told me and based on what I watched, like if she doesn't update her ground game and her takedown defense, if she doesn't actually like really work on that stuff, she'll get absolutely annihilated by women that are,
experienced,
more experienced.
Yeah. I think in my opinion, the best thing for her would be to chill out on boxing for a while. If she's going to take MMA seriously, she should stop doing both sports, focus on just strictly MMA for a year or two. I mean, I think she's still fairly young.
She's 26.
So she's got some time to improve. And, she needs to grapple, man. She needs to get into it hard, because she was in full mount basically for 2 rounds with Brittany on top of her, and she wasn't like moving her hips very well. She wasn't like bridging very well. She wasn't doing anything to cause space. She was actually like on her back throwing punches up, and that's not a good sign.
Unless you're Nico Price. then don't do that.
I mean, yeah, just because you don't like, that means you don't know what you're doing.
Or Kevin
that's
Holland.
That's your only instinct is to throw punches back, not to make
That's
space.
that's like something you would do in a street fight. You wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
And like if you were actually experienced, you wouldn't do that in a regular
it was
organized
bad.
fight.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, she came out with the TKO win at the end, but in round 3, but it didn't look good. A girl with a little bit more experience or a little bit more just technique even would have probably finished that fight.
Yeah. Well, I will say this
really easily, in my opinion.
I will say this though, in terms of the TKO,
she hits hard, but
yeah, in terms of the TKO, the way that she was set up, what it reminded me of was when Frank Mir and Brock Lesnar fought, and Brock Lesnar just absolutely pounded his face into the mat. That's what the TKO, like the positioning, the way that she she was in good position for the finish. So I'll give her, because it doesn't really matter how you start, it's how you finish, obviously.
Yeah.
But I mean, in terms of, you look at guys that are so focused on other things like Aaron Pico. Aaron Pico was another guy who came over from another sport where he was a wrestler. And then he relied so much on, he like strayed away from the things that got him to where he was. Like, he's an amazing wrestler, but he wanted to just stand up. So he got knocked out multiple times at Bellator because all he wanted to do was do stand up. It's like, dude, do what got you to the dance. Do what got you to where you are. You're an amazing wrestler. You're an Olympic caliber wrestler. Focus on that.
And people that know about Pico say he's going to be a fucking star, dude. They're like him in the gym is a fucking beast.
Yeah, he trains with TJ Dillashaw and Juan Archuleta and some of those other there's a lot of guys from Bellator.
But he's still pretty young too. I mean, he was a young
Aaron Pico,
kid,
I
right?
think he's 25 or 26.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for her also, maybe, like, obviously you're still going to want to do the boxing, but don't do it competitively. Like, train it, but don't compete in boxing and compete in MMA, because you're spreading yourself too thin on multiple things where you need to be dedicated to one.
I mean,
She
look what
has
happened to
mass
Connor,
potential.
right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what happens, dude. It's just at this level, you can't be at the top of all the games.
Yeah.
You know, you got to be at the top of one game. And that's where I'm at with that. Like, that's what everybody said though. Like, when Connor, like, well, how's Connor going to look when he comes back? And, well, you know, not fucking good.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, after his long layoff, when he came back against Cowboy, obviously he looked good, but that's also, he fought Cowboy.
Well, yeah.
Cowboy's on the very tail end of his career.
And
probably should call
that
it.
was well, trust me, we'll talk about that.
I love me some Cowboy, but
so do I. But I think, you know, and also another thing that I didn't like in terms of like Connor is he started talking about wanting to box Manny Pacquiao while he was in training camp for Dustin Poirier. Bro, Dustin Poirier is no slouch. He's the only guy that he's lost to in a convincing fashion since Connor, and I guess Michael Johnson too, because Michael Johnson starched him, but was Khabib. And there's no shame in losing to I think personally, the greatest of all time is Khabib.
Yeah.
Even if he doesn't have as many title defenses as John Jones and didn't really but in terms of like, in terms of total domination, Khabib. But, and then Connor gets knocked out like we've never seen before against Dustin, because he's not focused on just Dustin. He's focused on wanting to fight Manny Pacquiao. And then
it's also hard to be hungry when you're multi-millionaire.
Hundreds of millionaire. Hundreds of millions.
So, I mean, dude sold his, I think he sold his
proper 12
whiskey. Yeah,
for
proper
like
12.
He sold half of it, I think, for like 50 or 60 million. I think.
Yeah, so I mean, like, he's set for life. I mean, he doesn't have to, if he's smart with his money and not like Mayweather and spend that shit and has to keep doing exhibition fights all the time, then it is what it is. But Connor isn't the hungry young Connor that he used to be. And if he comes back and he can encapsulate that again, maybe he'll be where he was. But I
Not
just
gonna
don't
happen.
see it when
No,
when you're not that hungry. You're already set for life, and your eyes are on bigger prizes. The title doesn't mean much to him anymore.
What Conor had going for him was that mystique, that fucking aura, dude. Like that fucking. I'm Conor McGregor.
He's the
and
Mystic Mac, dude.
He was starching motherfuckers, and people were afraid of that left hand. And I think people realize, like,
walk him down, take him down.
Yes, exactly. And that's hard to do because Conor's a bad motherfucker.
Yeah,
he's a great counter striker too.
We're just not going to see that Conor ever.
No.
I'm confident in saying that. And dude, I'm not trying to be a douchebag, but like, I just don't think we're going to see it again. And that's not even bad. Like, he's set for life, dude. Do you, brother? You
look at the top five pay-per-views of all time. Conor McGregor's part in the UFC. Conor McGregor's in all of them.
He's probably, I was going to say he's got at least 3.
Yeah. The next one that's closest to it is UFC 100, I think, which was
or
Brock
UFC 200, right? UFC 200 maybe with Brock and
Mark Hunt.
Yeah.
Bro, my favorite lead up to fights of all time was probably was it the first fight with Diaz, dude? When they're sitting there, they're talking about steroids and playing touch butt in the park.
That was
goddamn. That was beautiful, dude. Like, I fucking love that.
The best thing that ever happened to Nate Diaz was RDA broke his foot. That's the best thing that ever happened to Nate Diaz because he is where he is now. Obviously, Stockton 209, what's up? But I mean, like, he never would have gotten a big fight like that had RDA not gotten hurt. And then Nate Diaz is like, he's like, Conor McGregor, you know where the real fight's at. Taking everything I work for, motherfucker.
You're on steroids. You're all on steroids.
Yeah, you're all on steroids. So I guess talking about Nick Diaz is supposed to come back.
Yeah.
So I guess there really isn't anything set in stone other than Dana White a couple months ago or a month ago after the Jacksonville card was like, yeah, we met with him. It just doesn't seem like he has it. It doesn't seem like he's hungry, like all this stuff. So it's like, we talked, we met, and it just doesn't seem like it's, the right thing to do. Fast forward to just 2 or 3 days ago, and that's completely changed. And then Dana's saying that it sounds like he's actually going to fight.
Yeah.
I'm going to believe that when I see it, dude.
Yeah.
That's how I feel as well. But I would love to see him versus Masvidal.
Yeah.
Get that revenge for your little brother, baby. Let's see it.
That's where, and I think they do that at 185.
Maybe.
Because with Nate at 170, like, obviously you're not Nate, and they've always been one weight bracket, separated. So when Nick was trying to fight GSP out, that was 170 at welterweight. Nate was, on a tear at 155, fighting guys like Takanori Gomi, Clay Guida. He fought for the title against Benson Henderson, stuff like that. So they've always been one weight bracket apart. So I think what will end up happening, and this is, more than anything, I think what I wanted to do was see what your guys' thoughts were on who you guys think he's going to fight.
Yeah. I think Masvidal is the answer.
Right? I agree.
Yeah.
I think Masvidal is the one that makes the most sense. And also, since Masvidal, he's not going to be in the title picture anytime soon. So I think for him, because he's towards the end of his career too, because you look at him, I think he's 36 or 37.
And the dude's been in the game
since he was
over
18,
a decade, right?
Since he was 18.
Yeah.
Not to mention he's fucking bare knuckling in the fucking backyards of Miami, dude.
At Kimbo's house.
Yeah, he's a fucking animal.
R.I.P. Kimbo. Baby. Yeah. So yeah,
I miss that, man.
Yeah.
I guess here's the reason I'm not excited. It doesn't really. Don't get me wrong. If Nick comes back, like, that's cool. I'm gonna watch the shit out of it.
Yeah.
But I just don't know what the fuck you expect. Dude hasn't fought in what, man?
5 years.
5
or 6 years. Well, he was doing a 5-year suspension for smoking weed.
Yeah, we're talking about, but
which they've legalized.
Yeah.
People talk about ring rust and shit like that. And I understand people don't believe in it, whatever. I think that shit's real as fuck.
I do too. Don't tell Dominic Cruz that.
Yeah. But ring rust, it's like people talk about that shit after a year and a half, 2 years. We're talking a fucking
almost a decade. Almost a
Like,
decade.
This fucking dude. I mean, what do you expect from him? You know,
His
I'm not
last
saying he's
fight,
not a gangster.
I'm
He's a
not- I'm
fucking
not-
gangster, but
I'm not expecting a title run from him unless the UFC's like just straight up like jets him there. You know what I mean? Like if they're like, hey, you beat Masvidal or someone like that on your return, and then a title shot just because you're a big name and money, then I could see it. But I don't
no.
expect him to get a title shot. And honestly, to answer your question here, I don't expect him to be at 185 because I can't imagine a world where Diaz is like, let's fight the Paulo Costas and the Darren Tills and the, you know, like those are big dudes now.
Yeah.
I think if
Adesanya's,
anything,
you know?
Nate tries to go down.
Yeah.
But
You know,
but here's the thing. Like Nate Diaz said, I'm gonna fight for the title even if I lose. Like he's like, even if I lose, I'm fighting for the title. But he ain't fighting at one. I don't think he's fighting for the title at 155 because he hasn't fought anybody at 155 in a long time. He fought Anthony Pettis at 170. He fought Connor twice at 170. Those are his 3 most recent fights. Oh no, fought Masvidal at 170.
Yeah.
So
well, I don't think we have to worry. They could both be at 170, dude. Because let's be honest, I don't see
They're never
either
gonna
of
fight
them.
each other anyway.
They're not. Yeah, well, they're not gonna fight, and like, they're not going. Neither of these fuckers. And I love me some fucking Nate Diaz, dude. I'm a fucking Diaz guy, but they're not fucking going on tears where like they're 1-2 or something like. You know, this is not gonna happen. I don't think that's a scenario that we have to worry about. Not only that, I think we're foreshadowing or forecasting a little bit too much because, I mean, we got to see Nick fight once.
Yeah.
You know, let alone fucking 2-3 times at his age and look good. So,
dude, but Nick, dude, he's shredded. He's
Look,
got
man,
that triathlete body, dude.
I know.
He looks real fucking good. So I don't think it'll be like a conditioning thing, but it's also
No.
the last time that Nick finished somebody, I think he knocked out Paul Daly in Strikeforce. I think that was the last finish that he had. Like everything else has been decisions. He couldn't even finish BJ Penn.
Well, they're just volume guys. They've always been volume guys, pace guys, push the pace.
Yeah, but Nate finishes.
He can, yeah.
I mean, he can. You know, the problem
Connor.
Look, well, I mean,
that's
Connor
because Connor
had
himself
zero. Well, Connor had zero ground game, ground game.
Well, and he punched himself out of shape or punched himself out of breath.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. Look, I'm excited. I'm gonna watch the fuck out of it. I'm a Diaz guy, and I hope he fucking comes in and shreds. But I mean, if we're being honest with ourselves, I don't know. You know, I don't think so.
I know what you mean. Yeah, so
the game has also evolved a lot since he's been there. So
in the last 2 years, the game's evolved so much.
The skill level the last the guys 5 who's coming back to fight is next level now, and that's why I think Masvidal makes sense. They are from the same. I mean, for one, they're cut from the same cloth. Let's go with that.
They both brawl.
You know, they both go
stand
for it.
And bang.
They're older in the game, and it'd be an interesting, entertaining fight.
But I do think Jorge's the better striker. Jorge's one of the best strikers of all time, I think.
I think Jorge's got the better overall game when it comes to striking.
He wouldn't lose in the ground game.
Yeah, I think he could get submitted fairly easy.
But stand-up wise, he would hold his own.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just think that you got to give him somebody like Masvidal because Nate's a draw. Nick's not so much a draw anymore, man. Unless you're not to the casual fans.
No.
You know, where you're trying to sell
casual fans, the new fans haven't even seen him fight.
That's what I'm saying. So like Nate, draw. And he's a fucking superstar, man. He'll sell some fucking pay-per-views. But Nick, he's a goddamn myth at this point, you know?
Well, and to add to that in terms of the myth is it's nothing set in stone. It's not like there's a contract that's been agreed upon. We don't know yet. So everything's up in the air.
Yeah.
I mean, since we've kind of touched on it already in terms of like retirement and stuff like that. So we got guys like Anthony Pettis. He decided to go sign with PFL. And then he just pulled out of, he was supposed to fight yesterday after he got upset in his first fight in PFL. We got guys like Cowboy, Diego. I mean, there's like a slew of guys that I really wish would just retire. Like, I really hope Junior Dos Santos doesn't fight again. I really hope guys like, I really didn't even want Alistair Overeem to go sign with Glory Kickboxing, because you look at some of the damage that those guys have taken, and it's like, why do you want to keep doing this to yourself? Junior Dos Santos and Alistair Overeem are they're close to 40.
Yeah, dude, but that's gonna
Diego
be
and Cowboy. Yeah,
Uber.
We're gonna be eating horse meat again, boys.
Okay.
The thing is, like, nobody took that many knockouts and career losses better than Overeem, though. Like, nobody's done it better.
Yeah, but he didn't really lose all that much in the grand scheme of things.
His KOs, man, he's been KO'd and flatlined like more than anybody I've ever fucking seen.
Well, dude, but his chin is. I mean, look, don't get me wrong.
That's a fucking big chin. That's why
it's very suspect now.
It's huge.
It's suspect.
It's almost as big as Antonio Bigfoot Silva's chin.
Yeah.
Listen to me, dude.
Who's coming back, by the way?
If you get hit by Ngannou like that, that takes years off your life.
Yeah.
That takes years off your life. Like, what are you doing? Like,
I thought he was dead.
Breathe on your chin. Breathe on your chin. You pass out.
I literally thought he died. I was like, we just witnessed a murder, the first murder.
That's two knockouts from Ngannou that I thought he killed somebody. That was
Stipe?
Rosenstrike too.
Oh, Rosenstrike. He's like,
I thought he was dead, bro. He KO'd that dude against the cage and he hit him like 2 more times. I was like, oh, he dead. Like, there's no way. Like, I just witnessed a fucking assassination in the cage. Like,
I fucking love that, dude. I know we're gonna get off on a tangent and we gotta get on these fights. I just want to say,
rein him in.
I just want to say, like, that man is so fucking scary, dude.
Oh,
that man is Ngannou is so scary. He's
like the nicest guy in the world, but I would hate to stand across from him in the cage. I'd be like, you know what? I'm just gonna get down on the ground and tap.
Bro, people, they're like, hey, DC, you ever think about coming out of He's like, I ain't fighting that fucking dude. You know, like, have you seen that? Ain't fucking no way, man.
I love DC, dude.
Fucking animal,
so do I. He's a really good commentator. But I think, like, Cowboy, I don't even want him to fight at 155 again. Dana White's doing him a favor. I don't want him to fight anymore. Diego, Jeffrey and I had talked about this a couple days ago when we were just talking about, what we're going to do for this podcast. And we got into probably a 45-minute long conversation about just Diego and Cowboy. And the only thing that I would like to see is those two fight each other.
Same.
And be done.
That's it.
That's the only thing that I want to see.
That's the
fight. That's the fight we lost.
I know.
It should have happened. It could have happened.
But Joshua Fabia fucked it up.
Yeah, it is what it is. And honestly, after watching Cowboy's last performance when he should have fought Diego, I thought it would have been a competitive fight. And before that fight, I was thinking, oh, Cowboy's going to head kick Diego and starch him. It's not even going to be a good fight. It's going to be bad. And then I watched him lose to that other guy. I forget his name off the top of my head right now. And I was like, yo, that fight actually might have been a good. I think it was. And I was like, that fight actually might have been a good fight. Yeah.
Yeah. That was Alex Moreno.
Well,
we got robbed of that fight. That might have been a barn burner.
I'm going to use the restroom real quick. I'll be right back, boys.
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
We now know that Diego can take a punch hanging upside down, so I have no qualms about him fighting Cowboy and taking all those fucking punches.
Yo, he was taking head kicks too.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
He was taking head kicks upside down. Look, like, what the fuck?
We'll just get over this retirement thing. Yes, Cowboy needs to retire. I love him. He's probably one of my favorite fighters of all time. He's such a gangster. He's such an OG. Fights anywhere, anytime, any fucking weight class, anybody. He's a fucking animal. He's a gangster. He's a Hall of Famer.
That's the one thing I'll miss when he's gone. Is his willingness to be like, I'm fucking down. I'll step in right now. Like, that's gonna be upsetting.
And then Diego, like, should have retired a while ago. His chin is suspect as fuck. He's older than shit, dude. He's been in probably more gangster brawls than anybody in the UFC history. I mean, he's had some fucking bangers, man. Some fucking bangers. And
classics, dude.
Classics. And I was excited for this fight because I wanted them. First of all, it was real beef, not in this fake made up bullshit. It was real.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see that. And I just wanted them both to write off, like, go your own separate ways. I do think Cowboy would have won. If they're gonna fight, if Cowboy's gonna fight, Dana, he got rid of fucking what's his name? Diego got rid of fucking homeboy. I understand Diego's probably not right in the head, man. He's got some fucking issues, and that needs to be. And if Dana thinks that that's more important, then I get it, right? But just do that fight. Let them both be done.
I think they both deserve their sunset. The ride off into the sunset. I think they both deserve that fight. If they brought Diego back for him to fight Cowboy, on the stipulation that both of these men are done after this fight.
Yep.
Then I'm like, let's do it, baby. I think they deserve it. But like we're saying, and like you said, there is probably some underlying health issues that Dana is concerned with. I don't think he has any personal issues with Diego at all. That guy's done a lot for that.
Well, he's straight up said that he loves. He's straight up said, I love Diego. I will do anything for that tough one cast. He said, I'll do anything for those guys.
Yeah, he's got a soft spot for those guys.
Yeah, because they put UFC on the map and brought it up to where it is now. But
it's so crazy to think that fucker's still fighting from tough one.
It's wild, but where's Forrest Griffin? Look at that, those dudes are gone, bro.
Yeah, look at that cast though. You had Nate Quarry, you had
Bonner,
Stephen Bonner, Chris Lieben, Diego Sanchez, Kenny Florian. You had Mike Swick.
All those fuckers are been gone for a decade, and Diego Sanchez is still over here just
still
but well, and that's
awesome.
And that's the problem with, again, just referencing a conversation that Jeffrey and I had a couple days ago was, you had Diego Sanchez, who had a really the best performance he's had in years against Mickey Gall.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked really good. And I was like, wow, where has this Diego been? But when you have those good performances, or whether Mickey Gall had a bad day or whatever, he just couldn't get the timing down, then Diego, I think he has a harder time with wanting to step away, because he just put a hurting on a young up and coming, really good prospect, And so it's times like that where it's I don't know, I think I still got this. And that's what makes it hard for guys like him, or guys like
that's why
Cowboy.
you got to have good people around you.
Yeah,
but that's the problem. He doesn't have.
Look.
He's got Josh. He had Josh Fabia or Joshua Fabia around him,
which
he doesn't anymore. Yeah, and he doesn't anymore, which I think is a good thing. But with that said, I think the damage has been done. There's no going back.
100%.
And so
hey, for me, it's Cowboy versus Diego or nothing at all, man.
I
know that Cowboy's gonna fight. I know he's gonna fight one more, but that's the fight for me, man. And after that,
that's the fight the fans and everybody deserves.
I don't want to see him anymore. Not because I don't love both of them. It's just out of respect and stuff. I don't want to fucking see them later in life, fucking having Muhammad Ali issues. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Parkinson's.
And that's fucking real, dude.
Fuck.
And I mean, fuck.
I mean, if Diego isn't slurring words and everything in the next 5-10 years of his life, I'll be absolutely fucking.
But he already is. That's the problem. He already is having those problems, and that's where I'm kind of it reminds me of Stipe. I can't understand I love Stipe, but I can't understand half.
I don't know if that's because of
that might just be from where he's from.
Ethnicity. Yeah. His ethnicity, or if
he's
that's
from Cleveland.
He's from Cleveland, but he's part Croatian. I don't know how deep that goes to his family or whatever.
No, his parents are Croatian.
As well?
He is from the United States. He's from
Yeah,
Cleveland.
dude.
But that doesn't, being raised with people with an accent gives you an accent, like
Yeah.
could be.
I don't know. I'm just gonna go with that, dude, because I refuse to believe that fucking Stipe's
You
got.
get hit in the head enough times because he was a boxer before he went to the UFC. So
Yeah, the only bad time, well, I guess there's two bad times now that Stipe in the UFC has really been put, well, three, because DC got him,
Stefan Struve got him.
Stefan Struve got him, and then
Which is wild.
and then
Ngannou.
Francis Ngannou. Yeah. Hey, dude, and I was high on Stefan Struve after that fight too. I was
Trenton's
like,
gonna
I love this
dude,
man.
I was skyscraper high on
Trenton is a
Yeah.
skyscraper dick rider forever.
I love that dude. I don't know why, dude. I love that dude.
I loved him, and then he kept getting finished, and I was like, my God, dude.
Well, he also had that heart issue.
He had a heart condition, yeah.
Yeah. I'm surprised he was able to come back from that. Like, they let him back from that. They're like, hey, fuck it. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess we can go through and talk about certain fights
that we're excited for on this card and a little bit of predictions.
For UFC 263. Forgive me, I'm gonna pull them up on my phone.
I'm gonna pull them up on the internet right now.
On the Google.
So, in terms of the early prelims, really the only fight that I'm really interested in is the Chase Hooper versus
I was
Steven
hoping
Peterson
you were going to
fight.
say that. Yep.
And because it's Ben Askren's son, Chase Hooper. But I really think I honestly think that Chase Hooper, because he's so young, dude, he's 21.
Yeah.
Like,
I think he's got this on lock.
He has no fucking stand-up game. His stand-up game stinks.
I in this fight will be rooting for Chase Hooper.
I'm rooting for Chase Hooper, but in turn, I'm honestly think that Steven Peterson's going to win. And I think a lot of it has to do with just the fact that Chase Hooper doesn't have a stand-up game. He relies so much on his ground game that it's like, that's kind of a problem. Because he's too one-dimensional. He is Ben Askren.
But he's young and improving.
Yeah, young. You can be young and improving, but it takes time to hone those skills.
It's true.
I don't think he has had enough time to hone those skills. Personally,
this fight's going to show us, because we got Peterson, who I've watched him fight a couple times. The one that's notable that I remember is the one versus him and Benito Lopez, who's the local guy from here, and that was a dog fight.
And that was a loss, right? Split.
Yeah, he lost. Benito won, but it was a good fight. I mean, he took some shots. He's got a chin on him. He can take it, and he's got decent stand up. He was pushing forward against Benito and consistently pushing forward, but where we lacked to see was his defense and grappling. Mm-hmm. So, if Chase can get him to the ground, it could present a big problem for him.
Yeah, I think that sorry, Benito, dude. I think that Hooper's better than Benito. And dude, me and you are both Benito guys, we're from that area, dude. We've known Benito for a long time and watched him grow up. So I don't mean that disrespectfully. Benito's a stud. Yeah. But I just don't see Peterson. I don't see it. I don't see it happening. I just don't, I don't know. I got been wrong before.
So you two have Hooper. I'm going with Peterson.
Okay.
Then we'll go, because that's for the early prelims. I just don't have enough knowledge on the rest. I watched Chase Hooper on the Contender Series, and then his other stuff, because it's cool to see a young, like a kid.
I think they're both from the Contender Series, right?
I think so. I think Steven Peterson is, but Steven Peterson's 31. So
that's where he fought Benito.
Oh,
I thought was Contender Series, right?
Yeah, that was the fight that got Benito into the UFC for winning the Contender Series.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we'll move on to the prelims. So first fight on the prelims is Movsar Evlov or however you pronounce that, Evloev, and then Hakeem Mean Dawodu. Mosar is, I believe he's from Russia.
Yep.
He's undefeated, 27 years old, so young guy. Hakeem Dawodu, 12-1-1, looks like an absolute beast. He was on the newest episode of the what's the series that they do leading up to, it's on YouTube. UFC. God damn it! It's what they do before, like they do an episode every day leading up to. God damn it!
I don't know.
I can't even remember what it's called. I gotta look it up right here. Hold on. This pissed me off, dude. So I don't even know what it's called. And it's like I'm complete mind blank. I'm Embedded.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
UFC Embedded. So he was featured on Embedded. But I really think Hakeem Dawodu is gonna pull this one off. I think he's gonna hand Mosar his first loss. And I think strictly because Hakeem, Nigerian guy, he's gonna be looking to show out for Izzy. So he looks like he's in amazing shape. So
yeah, with this
I just don't know enough about either guy. Like I've never seen Mosar fight, so I don't know.
So I've watched a couple of his fights. I don't think that first of all, I don't think he's looked that good. Even though he's undefeated, he hasn't really looked amazing to me. I don't think he has very good knockout power. I think he's an old M1 guy.
Okay. Global.
Like an M1 guy. And then I think he's a Greco guy too.
Okay.
In the Greco scene. So like he looks good. He's going to be in shape. He doesn't have very much power and he hasn't looked amazing. Look, fucking dude's 10-0. So I'm not saying that he's not talented. He just hasn't looked that good.
He's 14-0.
Oh, sorry. Is he 14?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he hasn't looked that good.
Yeah.
To me. As where
Hakeem's
a fucking nightmare so far.
Yeah.
You know, he's looked really fucking good and I think he's got the conditioning to match.
And he's got power.
And he's got fucking power, and I think that's what does it, you know?
Yeah.
Unless Evlov takes him down and, you know, wrestle fucks the shit out of him.
Mm-hmm.
But that hasn't been what he's done so far. So
no.
I got Hakeem for sure.
So do I. That's what I'm going.
I agree with you guys. I'm on Hakeem as well.
Okay. The flyweight fight, Lauren Murphy, who's number 3 ranked in the flyweight division. Number 5 is JoJo Calderwood. We've seen, whereas with Lauren Murphy, she's more of a wrestler, ground and pound, wrestle you and maintain top position. JoJo has been in some good stand-up fights, and she's finished girls. That being said, they're both older. I think Lauren Murphy's like 33 or 34, and JoJo's 35.
Murphy's 37.
37. Okay. So, and the biggest thing is Lauren Murphy can't get over Caitlin Chukagian. Like Caitlin Chukagian, she's not good enough to beat Valentina Shevchenko. So I don't know, because they've already fought and she got absolutely dominated. But Lauren Murphy, I think she has 2 losses to Caitlin Chukagian. And that's one hump that she can't get over. But other than that, she's looked amazing. I think she's on a 5 or 6 fight win streak since her last loss. And she's, again, representing the 907, dude. Alaska. Shout out Alaska. Shout out my home state. And JoJo's coming off of a fight with Jessica Ai where she beat her. I think they fought in Abu Dhabi. And Jessica Ai is good, but I think she's kind of stepped off. Like, and
she's
I think
a gatekeeper now.
I think
a female gatekeeper.
And I really like Jessica Ai, but I think after she suffered that like devastating head kick from
That was
Valentina,
nasty.
I don't think she's ever going to be the same after that. So
With this fight, I feel like I'm gonna go with Lauren Murphy, and the
I'm going
reason
Lauren
is
Murphy.
Calderwood can strike, right? But and before I say this, I know we have our outliers, right? You got women knock each other out. Obviously
It's not very common.
We just seen fucking Rose head kick the fuck out of somebody.
Whaley,
you know what I mean? Like it happens, right? Like knockouts happen, but they're far and few
Amanda
between.
Nunes every fight.
But she's different, right?
Yeah.
That bitch hits, dude.
Yeah.
I mean that in a good way. Like that woman she fucks people, dude.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But historically, ground game is where those fights are fought and won and lost.
Yeah.
And I think that Murphy has that advantage, and it's not even close.
She's just a better grappler
I think this goes to the ground. I think that Murphy gets the win.
So do I.
Isn't she a sizable height advantage as well?
No, she's a height disadvantage. I'm pretty sure. Lauren
Disadvantage,
Murphy,
huh?
I think, is shorter.
It's pretty even, right? They're like
Let me see.
5'5", 5'6", or something like that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
5'4".
okay, yeah, so
Lauren Murphy's
she is-
5'4", and JoJo's 5'5".
Okay.
But Lauren Murphy has a 1.5-inch reach advantage on
Okay.
JoJo, which I think will help in grappling exchanges as well.
I think I'm gonna go with the upset here, fellas.
I honestly
Calderwood.
think Calderwood is the favorite in the fight.
Is she?
she?
I think so.
She might be.
But I think
Okay.
it's only because her name. I really don't think it has anything to do with because when you look at the rankings, number 3, Lauren Murphy's number
6,
3
yeah.
versus number 5 or number 6.
She's
So-
6.
Okay. So yeah, I think Lauren Murphy's gonna get the W. Personally. I just think the wrestling is in the grappling exchanges. JoJo can stand, but once she goes to the ground, what can you do what are you gonna do off your back, or what are you gonna do to get back up to your feet? If she can, if she can, obviously if she can do what guys like Israel Adesanya do, where they get taken down and they pop right back up with no damage being done, then obviously she can win the fight. She just has to have good stand-up exchanges. So we've got 2 for Lauren Murphy, myself and Jeffrey, and then you're with JoJo.
Yeah, I think I got Calderwood. I think her takedown defense is going to be enough, and she'll keep it standing. And I think she's got the better stand-up. So I'm going to go with that. Every fight starts standing, and if she can keep it on the feet, then I think she has the advantage here.
Okay. Next one in the light heavyweight division, Eric Anders versus Darren Stewart. They fought recently. Ended in no contest due to an illegal knee. And I think it was Eric Anders who kneed Darren Stewart illegally, if I remember correctly. And I honestly think Darren Stewart's going to come just based on I've been reading because I was thinking, I was like, what is going to be a big fight on this prelim card? And I think it's going to be this one. And I think Darren Stewart's coming for the kill.
So you got Darren Stewart on this one?
I'm going with Darren Stewart. I think Eric Anders is good, but I don't think Eric Anders is primarily a middleweight. That's where he was started, but he's been fighting at 205 more recently.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Darren Stewart as well. I think he's got more knockout power in his hands, and I'm gonna go with that.
I'll be
Darren
honest,
Stewart
I
knockout.
didn't see that last fight, and I don't know too much about these fighters. I think
Eric Anders is out of Alabama, and I don't know if he fights with any I don't know if he's with American Top Team or anything. I don't know. I can't remember. But he's from the Deep South.
I just know that his nickname's Ya Boy, and I dig that.
He's your boy.
That's your boy. I'm going with that.
And then to cap off the prelims, we've got Drew Dober versus I don't know if it's Riddle or Riddell. I think it's
Riddell.
Is it Riddell?
Yeah,
I think it's Riddell. I think it reads Riddle, but I think it's Riddell.
Well,
I was stationed with a dude named, I think it's Rydell.
Yeah,
Riddell?
Riddell or something.
Okay.
Rydell, yeah.
So
This
I'm
is the one I'm
thinking that-
excited for the
I'm
prelims.
excited for this one, but after Islam absolutely annihilated Drew Dober,
Mhm.
Same.
Like-
Same.
I'm going with Brad on this fight.
I believe that as well, dude. And
Brad's
like
Islam
really
Dober.
good.
I like
Drew. I like Drew as well.
I like Drew Dober. I really like him
I
because
think when Drew Dober's on-
he's at a Team Elevation, right? He fights. I think he fights in.
I'm not sure of his camp.
I think
be
he
honest
fights
with
with Team Elevation. I'd have to.
Yeah,
I like Drew Dober, and I think
I
when
like
Drew
him.
Dober's on, he's a force. But I think Brad's looked really good lately as well.
Yeah, and he's a little bit younger. But dude, fucking Drew Dober's he's got a lot of fights, man. What's his fucking
Yeah.
record?
Drew Dober is 23-10-0 with 1 no
Yeah.
contest.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Rydell, but I do like Drew Dober, man. I do like him a lot. I think Rydell's younger and he's looked good. I got him.
Yeah, that's how I'm going with too. All right. Starting off the main card, we've got Jamal Hill versus Paul Craig. On the embedded series, they actually got into it a little bit.
Okay.
Jamal Hill was so here's another thing. Jamal Hill should be 9-0. He's got 1 no contest, and it's because he tested positive for marijuana after one of his most recent fights. But I'm pretty sure he had a TKO in that fight, and it got turned into a no contest because
Okay.
of a positive marijuana test. Like,
Okay. So like performance enhancing marijuana. Cool.
yeah. So he should be 9-0. He
Okay.
shouldn't have a loss. And then Paul Craig out of Scotland, he's been in his one draw was with Shogun, and then they fought again, and they've been in 2 wars.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that I'm kind of like, I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards Hill on this one because
Yeah.
most recently Hill beat Oven St. Preux, and Oven St. Preux I feel like is a better fighter than Shogun.
At this point,
And
yes.
obviously styles make fights, but
Yeah.
I don't see how Paul Craig going to a draw and then going to, I think I don't know if he finished Shogun or if it was a decision, but like Shogun's he's not the fighter he used to be, but he's like way past where he should be. He's another guy where I'm like, dude, why don't you retire? Like, you're never going to get that.
Catches us all, man.
The only guy that's an exemption is fucking Glover Teixeira.
Right.
I think in this one I like Paul Craig, and I think his jiu-jitsu is super underrated.
He has really good jiu-jitsu. His ground game is really good.
Yeah, it's really good. I think he's a brown belt. I don't know. I think he's a brown belt. Very good jiu-jitsu. I think he's way more experienced. And I think if he can get it to the ground, I think he wins the fight. I do like Jamal Hill a lot. I think that Paul Craig is more experienced and a more well-rounded fighter at this point. And and Oven St. Preux is a bad motherfucker, man, but
he's not the same as he used to be either.
Exactly. So we're kind of splitting hairs here.
Yeah.
With
but I do think that
MMA math, baby.
Yeah, but I do think that Oven St. Preux is like a tier above where Shogun is right now.
Agreed.
It's not very much. It's like, D to C. It's not like, B to A or anything, but
yeah. I got Paul Craig in this one.
I think I got Jamal Hill.
The only reason why is because I think Jamal Hill is like in terms like the shit talk that they had. That was like during like poster signings and stuff. They got into it. I don't know if you guys have watched the most recent Embedded, but
I didn't know.
So I think Jamal Hill is trying to talk him into doing a stand-up fight.
Right. Yeah.
Like he's like, all right, motherfucker, let's go. Like I think he's trying to talk him into a stand-up fight because he knows if it goes to the ground, he's probably going to get his ass kicked.
Also, dude, I think that Paul Craig's nickname's the Bear Jew, and
yeah, it is.
Get out of here, man. Win.
All right, so 2 for Jamal Hill, 1 for Paul Craig. Welterweight next, we got Damian Maia versus Bilal Muhammad. Damian Maia still in the top 10 in the welterweight division. Still. Yeah, game recognizes game. But people keep talking about how Damian Maia is like, I've heard in numerous podcasts, people are talking like, don't sleep on Damian Maia's boxing. I'm like, what
I don't want to hear
boxing?
this bullshit.
What
I don't want to
boxing?
hear this bullshit.
Yeah, what boxing? I heard Michael Bisping say that yesterday. Don't sleep on his boxing. Don't sleep on his stand-up. Dude, he got absolutely slept by Gilbert Burns. And Gilbert Burns is not a stand-up fighter, but he knocked out Damian Maia and thought, hey, I'm a stand-up fighter now, and then stood up with Kamaru.
Gilbert Burns' stand-up has looked pretty good lately.
Against Damian Maia.
I mean,
that's very true. Yeah.
Who else?
And Woodley.
That's because Woodley wasn't throwing. Woodley would not throw.
Yeah, Woodley went through that phase where he thought throwing hands was against the law.
Yeah.
You know?
He's like,
Dude, in this fight right here, look, this is a big fight for Bilal.
Yeah,
right? It's a huge fight. Because if you want to propel yourself where you think you should be, you have to beat Damian Maia. You fucking have to.
Well,
right? Like,
another thing is I don't know why they didn't run it back. Like, obviously, I don't want to see Leon Edwards versus Bilal Muhammad again. Like, I'm glad that Leon Edwards is getting a big fight, and I'm glad Nate Diaz is fighting Leon Edwards. But Bilal and Leon should have ran this shit back. Like, because Leon Edwards poked him in the eyes numerous times. That's the only reason why there's a no contest on both of their records, because Leon Edwards poked him in the eyes so many times that, you know.
Yeah. I just think that this is, I mean, we can go into detail on why, but I think it's pretty apparent. I think fucking Bilal Muhammad beats the shit out of Damian Maia.
I do too. I think
as long as
he doesn't go to the ground. Don't go to the ground with him, because Damian Maia, if it goes to the ground, Damian Maia always has a chance. He's the most dangerous submission specialist in mixed martial arts. I still think in all of mixed martial arts, he is the most dangerous grappler.
He's the most decorated for fucking sure.
Yeah.
The problem with Damian Maia is like his jiu-jitsu doesn't look
pretty
that fucking good
in
MMA fights. And you're like, man, why the fuck doesn't it? He's so fucking good.
Because he's controlling,
like,
and it doesn't look like he's doing anything, but it's like the way his hips are positioned or the way that he's transitioning on things to try and work. Like, obviously, like, you know, he's good at like flowing to different things. Like, he can go from a Kimura into an armbar into a guillotine.
As long as Bilal like doesn't get fucking dicked into falling for like a fucking Eminari roll or some shit like that, where he just grabs a fucking ankle or a fucking knee or something, he should definitely win this fight.
I think he's going to win by decision. I think it's going to be a decision. I think it's going to be a unanimous decision for Bilal. I don't think he's going to finish Damian Maia.
I mean, Damian Maia is 43 years old, man, and he's got zero stand-up game. And Damian Maia is one of the fucking goats of jiu-jitsu, competitive jiu-jitsu and shit like that. But I don't see him winning this fight against a young and hungry Bilal Muhammad, who knows he has to win this fight.
Who actually looked pretty good against Leon Edwards before it got stopped.
Yeah. Well, that could be.
I still think Leon Edwards was winning.
Yeah, he was.
But there's no telling what could have happened.
Yeah.
Bilal
so are we all in agreement on Bilal?
Yes.
All right. The Coco main event, the 5-rounder.
Yo, this is the main
Stockton
event.
209. Yeah. Stockton 209.
Now, I do have a question about this fight real quick. You just said it. This is the third event or the third fight of the night or whatever on the main card.
Third
the Coco main event.
Yeah.
So is this one actually a 5-round fight?
It's a 5-rounder. They agreed on it.
So we have 3 5-round fights this card. Okay.
This is the first time that this
kind of changes my opinion a little bit of this fight, because Nate Diaz's best tool is to tire people out. You know, that's his best tool. And I was thinking, if this is a 3-round fight, good luck doing that on Leon Edwards in 3 rounds. You know,
you guys keep talking. I'll be right back.
Now that it's 5 rounds, those chances go up. But in my opinion, I still got to go with Leon Edwards. I think he's the better all-around fighter. I think what he lacks in submission game, like defense or whatever, he's going to be fine, and he'll avoid the takedowns. And I think he's got good enough stand up and kicks and everything else to keep Nate Diaz from pressure fighting him to exhaustion.
I think, right. Like, yeah. So I think Diaz, without question, is going to have the gas tank, right? Like the better gas tank. It's not, I don't even think that's fucking debatable at this point.
Yeah.
The thing that could be troublesome for Edwards is the pace that Nate's going to put on him. We fucking know. We know what Nate's going to do, man. Nate's going to fucking throw volume punches. Nate's going to he's going to push that pace. He's going to tire you out. He's going to fucking tag you. I'm not saying Nate's going to knock you out, but he's going to hit you.
Yeah.
We know that he can take damage. You know, we know that he can take damage. Me and Chris talked about this before, but he's had fucking plastic surgery on his fucking scar tissue and shit like that to remove all that. So as long as that is not an issue, Nate Diaz stands a fucking chance.
Yeah,
right? If it goes to the ground, Nate has it.
That's where I think he has the biggest advantage, because Leon Edwards, like, obviously, if you're a mixed martial artist, you need to have some sort of, like, if you're a good mixed martial artist, like if you're in the top 5, you should have some sort of ground game, whether it's a little or a lot. You still have something, but it doesn't change the fact that being a Cesar Gracie Jiu-Jitsu black belt, that's a large gap between where Leon Edwards is at.
And we've seen that come into play when he fought Connor, with who everybody was saying the same thing about Leon Edwards, right? Oh, his ground game's improving. It's getting so much better. His takedown defense is so much better. Well, what happens is that Nate Diaz tires you out, man.
Mm-hmm.
And he puts that pace on you, and he fucking volume punches you into a fucking oblivion. And when you're tired, that's his opportunity to take you down and fucking strangle you.
Yeah.
You know, and if Leon Edwards stands a chance in this, he has to also be aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
And not let Nate pressure him into the fucking cage, and not let Nate volume punch him and push that pace and tire him out. So I think, look, this is a fucking toss-up for me. I know Leon Edwards is a huge favorite, right? He should be a huge favorite. But dude, I think Nate Diaz can win this fucking fight. And another thing that people aren't accounting for is, Leon Edwards had that Bilal fight, but he didn't get to go deep.
Yeah.
And so your first fight back is going to be a 5-rounder against somebody who you fucking know has the gas tank to go 5 rounds, who pushes that pace. And do you still have that rust? You know, do you still have, like,
considering it had been an extended period of time,
extended layoff?
Yeah. But the thing is Nate's had a long layoff too.
Yeah, but Nate, the thing with Nate is it's less considerable because of the pace that he puts on you and the type of fighter that he is.
Yeah. I think for the only reason why I'm really leaning towards Leon Edwards is based primarily on the fact that he is a solidified 170 pounder. Like, he is a welterweight. He knows what it's like to fight against the top of the top in the 170 pound or 170 pound division. And the last loss he had was against the guy who's the champion.
Yeah.
That was his last loss. And it's not, and Kamaru won, and a win's a win nonetheless. But I still think that Leon has, I want Nate to win. But if we're, like, I'm not picking with my heart. I'm picking with my head here.
And I'm picking with my heart for sure.
Yeah.
But I want Nate to win, but I think Leon's gonna win because and the only reason why I really want Nate to win is because in terms of, like, bringing eyes to the sport, like Nate's done that because he's been in these wars with Connor. And he's, fought for the BMF belt against Jorge, and he put on a really good show against Anthony Pettis. But also, I really think that if Leon, like, where the UFC made a really good decision is a lot of people, like a lot of casual fans, don't know who Leon Edwards is because he's not really a shit talker. If people know him, it's because he got that 3-piece and a soda from Jorge.
Master,
Yeah. And that was backstage. So if he ends up beating Nate, this will propel him in terms of like casual fans will not just be like people will know who he is. If he puts on a really good performance against Nate and it's not like boring as shit, then people will be like, they'll respect him and he will gain a bigger following from that.
There's a lot of pressure on Leon Edwards because if he loses this fight, you're not going to get him. It's not a good look, right? But because this isn't a big fight for Nate, dude, because Nate sells tickets. So Nate's going to get another fight.
Y'all selling Wolf tickets.
Yeah, you know,
selling Wolf tickets.
He's going to get another fight, another good fight if he loses this, simply because he's a sell. But if Leon Edwards loses to Nate Diaz, fuck, who you fighting next, man? Where are you going to be in the rankings? You know, what is he right now? What is he, 4?
I think he's 3.
3?
Yeah, I think he's 3.
Yeah,
because it's Kamaru, Colby, Gilbert, Leon. I think
that's right. That's about right. I do think that Leon probably wins, but there's a lot of fucking pressure on him right now. I think this is a big fight for him.
I think because I had to go deal with something real quick. I thought somebody was outside my door because I got a notification that my front door, like somebody was at my front door. That's what I got a notification of. So I had to leave. But the biggest thing that is it benefits Nate is it's a 5-round fight.
Yeah.
That's the biggest beneficial factor for Nate because we don't know what's going to happen because Leon's good stand-up. He has good stand-up.
But it's fucking hard to knock out Nate Diaz. Right?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Like, I mean, I think only Josh Thompson is the only person that's finished him.
Finished him like that, yeah.
And you know, let's just go out on a limb here and say we don't have to worry about him getting cut up and shit anymore. You know what I mean?
Well, on that one side,
I still don't believe that, but yeah.
Right. Well, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying if that's not a problem anymore, good fucking luck, Leon Edwards, dude, going 5 rounds with fucking Nate Diaz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, it sounds like you guys are both going Nate.
No, I'm gonna go with
Leon.
I'm going with Leon. I think he's got the better overall stand-up game. He's got the kicks. He's got hands.
And he hasn't been in as many wars.
Yeah, I think he's got speed. I think he's got the great takedown defense. I think he's got everything that he needs to beat Diaz. It's just going to be a matter of his cardio and if he can keep it up. And I think that he will be able to keep up his cardio.
So do I. I mean, if he wasn't confident in that, he wouldn't have accepted a 5-round fight because it's not for a title.
Yes.
So that's why I think he's confident in his abilities and in staying in the fight for 5 whole rounds, for 25 minutes, because if you weren't confident in that ability and it wasn't for a title fight, then you wouldn't accept it.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I definitely talked myself into Nate Diaz, and now I got to stick with it, But Leon Edwards should win this fight.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Our co-main event: Davison Figueiredo, the champion of flyweight, versus Brandon Moreno. They're coming off of Fight of the Year candidate. It might have even won Fight of the Year. And the craziest thing about this is they both fought on the same card. And it was in November, I think. And then 21 days, they were on the same card. And then 21 days later, they're headlining a card at the Apex together. And they put on an amazing performance like that on 21 days notice, So both of them were in a short, short notice fight and put on that good of a performance. Obviously, Davison, I think he kicked him or he kneed him in the nuts and he got deducted a point. So, and honestly, that was the first time it happened. So I don't know why it wasn't a warning. Like he automatically got deducted a point. So my thought process is, Davison won that first fight. It wasn't a draw. Davison did win, but both of them were on a full fight camp. And I really I'm going upset here. I'm going Brandon Moreno.
All right.
And my thing is you look at Davison didn't make weight for the original title fight against Joseph Benavidez, knocked him out. Then he made weight and they fought again. And then he, almost knocked him out, but then submitted him and put Joseph Benavidez to sleep. And then he fought, was Alex Perez or some guy, and he submitted him in like a minute and a half or 2 minutes. So I don't really, and that's the problem with some of these divisions is they're not deep. You got 1 and 2. It's kind of like how it was like Demetrius Johnson versus Ian McCall for a long time. Like those were the two guys in the flyweight division when it first became a thing. Yeah, Uncle Creepy. Look at Trenton, that's his Uncle Creepy.
That guy was my dude for a while, man.
Yeah.
Creepy.
And then
who I think beat Mighty Mouse in that fight.
I do too.
Same.
But it doesn't change the fact that Mighty Mouse is considered one of the GOATs, and Ian McCall went on like a 6 or 7 fight losing streak.
Yeah, well, Mighty Mouse.
He had those back issues though, right?
He had head issues.
Baby.
He had like CT issues.
I thought he had like really bad back issues and shit like that too.
Yeah,
I
think his knees or something. Or
maybe knees,
something
like that.
His whole fucking body.
Yeah,
his mustache. It was his mustache. It was the mustache.
That wrestling, man, takes a toll on the body.
So that's where I think the problem lies in terms of because I think it's Davison Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno. Those are the top 2 guys in the division, and I don't really think there's anybody else because obviously Henry Cejudo's not fighting. But dude, I think Henry Cejudo would absolutely put it on Davison Figueiredo. I think Henry Cejudo would annihilate Davison Figueiredo.
Yeah.
But in this fight, I'm going upset. I'm going Brandon Moreno. I'm going with that Mexican spirit. They're fighting in Arizona. They're right there. And yesterday during the press conference, people were, going loud for Brandon Moreno. They were loud for Nate Diaz. So I think with, crowds being back, I think Brandon Moreno will really rally around that. And I think he'll pull off the upset.
I think that he's the bigger fighter, not by much, but he's the bigger fighter. I think, look, that first one was dope. That shit was fuck yeah. That shit was awesome. I think Moreno's gotten a lot better, right? But he's had some dirty losses too. Where you look at Figueiredo, like who was his loss to? I can't remember. Who the fuck was his loss to?
I don't even remember.
But Moreno's had some fucking losses where you're like, God damn, dude.
Yeah, but this is the thing that he did that was correct. He went on a 2 or 3 fight skid in the UFC because he was on Tough. He was on the Ultimate Fighter. And he basically signed a contract right out of the Ultimate Fighter house. And then he lost like 2 or 3 fights, went to LFA, I think, and won the flyweight title there, then got re-signed, and he's done all the right things. It's kind of like Rumble. Rumble gets cut.
Yeah.
Rumble goes to World Series of Fighting, goes on this amazing streak, knocks the fuck out of Andrei Arlovsky,
breaks his jaw.
Yeah, and does he just kills it. And sometimes all you need is a reset. Sometimes all you need is to, realize what, I didn't realize how good I had it, or, what it's like to be in a top tier organization. And then you get that hunger back and you come back and you continue to perform really good. Another thing, Brandon Moreno is I think both in terms of both of them have only been in one war really, and it was against each other.
Yeah, I think Davison takes this. I do.
I agree.
I think
Figueiredo.
So
I think
the question is, does he finish or does he? Because he keeps saying that he's going to finish. He's going to finish Brandon Moreno.
Look, here's the deal. At 125 pounds,
Anything's
I would never bet. Against somebody knocking somebody out. I just don't, because again, when we talked about the women's, fight, just historically, they don't have that power like that. You know what I mean? So I think
Davison Figueiredo does.
Yeah, Yeah, but I don't think he's gonna knock him out. I think it goes distance.
I think
'Cause
this fight
Moreno's
is going to
that good.
be. I think this is going to be the underwhelming fight on the card. I think because they were in a war
Right.
the first time.
Yes.
I think that this one they're going to spend the whole first round trying to figure out, like they're going to be trying to time each other. So
I
that
think
I think
this
Figueiredo got
time
it.
around Figueiredo finishes him in the second TKO.
Woo. Woo. There you go.
I think Brandon Moreno wins by split decision.
Okay.
Okay.
And I honestly think it's going to be only because he does enough in terms of, like, he's going to control the center of the octagon and he's going to do enough to win. But obviously it's going to be controversial. And then they're going to have to do a third fight because that's really the only fight to do in that division. Who else? Why the fuck would you do anybody else? Because
It's just hard. It's hard to win a decision against the champ if you're not dominating.
yeah, but the thing is that they're not fighting in Brazil. They're fighting in Arizona, which is close
Yeah.
to Mexico. And
That
he's
don't
from
matter, though.
Tijuana.
That don't
So
matter.
I think the crowd really does matter because these judges suck.
Yeah, you're fucking right. That's true.
So it's yeah. So I think Brandon Moreno, you guys think Davison, Trent saying finish in the second. Are you saying unanimous decision, Jeffrey?
Yeah.
Okay. Then our main event, we've got Israel Adesanya versus Marvin Vettori. Obviously Marvin's last loss was against Izzy. Izzy's last loss was in his last fight, but that was because he went up to 205 to fight Jan, lost. And really, like, the way that the commentators were announced, like the way that they were commentating the fight, they made it sound like Izzy was in control of that fight. But if I were to watch that fight with no commentary on, it's unanimous decision, no doubt. The whole fight, Jan dominated that fight.
Yeah.
And this is where I think Marvin has to do exactly what Jan did, where the mistake that Marvin made in the first fight was he took him down so close to the cage that he could crawl his way back up the cage and get up. So he wasn't able to really control and dominate on the ground because he took him down so close to the cage that he was able to get up. No damage was done. Marvin didn't do any damage.
I think Vettori has a fucking good chance to win this. Obviously, both of them are fucking studs, and Izzy's a fucking animal, dude. He's so good and so smooth and so unorthodox that it just makes him a fucking nightmare to handle. The one thing that that's more than skills to me, like I almost question like mental makeup more than anything, right? Because that's such a huge part of fucking fighting. And I know that Izzy said that he's good and he's learning from it, and he's gonna get better. But how does he come back from that fucking loss? Like how does he come back from that?
Does he have the same confidence and the same
Exactly.
aura on him that he had
Exactly,
on himself,
because
he has
before that loss,
ungodly confidence in himself.
Before that, he was a myth. He was fucking starching motherfuckers.
But I don't think
Marvin's got a blueprint.
Yeah, Marvin has a blueprint, but they fought 3 years ago. They both have changed so drastically. Like Marvin is a better striker now than he was 3 years ago. Marvin has way better wrestling. That being said, he wrestled Kevin Holland, who has no fucking wrestling defense, period. That's the whole reason why Kevin went to AKA to train, because DC was like, dude, you're good. You just have no wrestling.
Yeah.
Do you think Vettori can keep up for 5 rounds?
No, he gassed out the first fucking round.
That's what I'm saying.
He is too. That's the problem with guys. Like, obviously, if you're in shape,
heavily muscular,
like look at Nate Diaz. He's skinny fat, but him being skinny fat, he doesn't have to worry about that blood flow to being shredded, like being muscular. Guys like Paulo Costa gas out because they're so fucking big.
Yeah. I mean, look, dude, and he's got a 6-inch reach advantage and 4 inches. Yeah. 6 inches reach and 4 inches height. That's going to be, that's,
But the thing is Marvin likes to be in dirty boxing range.
I know he
Yeah.
does.
But this is where I think, like, I think Izzy's going to win. I think Izzy's going to annihilate him. But obviously, it's just like any other fight. There's so many variables that can go into any fight. This one for me is, I think Izzy's going to do what he's done recently, and he's going to pick apart the legs from the outside. I think he's going to kick that outside leg kick, the calf kick. Those are going to be instrumental in this fight, because if Marvin Vettori can't get in that inside range and do some dirty boxing on the inside, he's not going to win.
Yeah.
And he's not going to be able to get close enough to do a takedown unless he catches a kick. But Izzy's kicks are so good and too quick.
Not only that, if Vettori wants to get inside, and that's fine, but good luck getting inside and actually striking with that
Or
man,
doing damage.
with that height advantage. You're
Yeah.
swinging fucking up, dude. You're not fucking, you want to do this dirty boxing and throw elbows and shit. That's not possible at 4 inches it's possible, but it's fucking much more difficult with that height advantage, So I think everything on all signs point to Izzy fucking taking this out and kicking the fucking shit out of him. And to be completely honest, like, this fight shouldn't be close.
No, I think, but this is another thing that I have kind of an issue with, is like, I want Izzy to have an amazing performance, but I don't think he's going to finish Marvin Vettori either. I think he's just going to do enough I think it's going to be a unanimous decision. It's going to be enough to obviously be like, this is over.
4-1, 5-0.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I think Israel Adesanya, if we all know MMA math is a little sketchy, but if you look at his competition and who he's fought recently and the line of killers that he's competed against, his skill level has improved so much from the first time that they fought.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. Marvin Vettori's gotten better, but he hasn't faced that much better of competition since then.
No.
The best guy Marvin Vettori has fought is Israel Adesanya.
I know.
And Israel Adesanya has fought in people better than Marvin Vettori.
Yeah.
I think
out
Izzy should come away with this. And I think, again, I would predict probably a second or third round TKO. I think he does finish Marvin this time. I think Marvin's going to have a hard time getting in close, getting him against the cage for takedowns. And I think he's going to get lit up.
My thing is like, I haven't, like, the thing that Marvin Vettori's been saying is he's like, it's been like 3 years to the day since we last fought. We last fought in this arena 3 years ago. And he's like, it's destiny. It's destiny. And it's like, maybe if you have that much belief or self-belief, and that King's MMA is a good gym. Like, you look at the guys that are there, like, Kevin Gastelum, he's a teammate of Marvin Vettori's. And that's another thing that I think a lot of people aren't talking about, is the fact that Kelvin Gastelum knows what it takes to beat Israel Adesanya, because he was right there. He almost did it. He just, took a lot of damage in that last round. And that's what separated, that fight, was that he got dropped twice in the last round.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, with Marvin, it's like, to say that it's destiny is one thing, to go out there and earn that shit and put it on him, something totally different, man.
But if Marvin Vettori can do what Jan did, because they both have, like, it's not like they're known for their superior grappling skills. Jan is not. Jan is a very good striker. Marvin's not a very good striker. He's a good grappler. So if Marvin takes him down and does what Jan did and is able to keep him down and do enough, like, in terms of ground and pound, transitions on the ground, put him in dangerous positions where, like taking the back or just landing good shots. If he can, like, split Israel open and, like, like, I'm coming, I'm dead serious. Like, if he puts it on him right off the bat, if he doesn't, because that's how you can tell in a fight. Like, if he's game, he's going to go forward. Like
Yeah.
Marvin's going to put the pressure on Izzy and make Izzy fight off his back foot.
I think
But
we'll be
does-
able to
but
tell
does-
this early.
Yeah.
We'll be able to tell early. Does Izzy keep him at distance, throw leg kicks, throw front kicks, use his jab correctly? If look,
He needs to be a
If-
distance fighter. He needs to do a karate style. And
if
point.
Marvin can get inside and take him down, all right. Now we're talking something else. But
That's a tall task.
Izzy's
Yeah.
takedown defense is pretty fucking good.
And not only that, if Marvin can get him and take him down, can he keep it up for 5 rounds? Because we know that Izzy can take it for 5 rounds because Jan did it to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that was another thing that I like. People who haven't wrestled, they don't understand what it's like to hold somebody down and how tiring it is. It's so much easier to fight off your back than it is to maintain that top position and keep somebody down. Because if you get in a position where somebody's literally just bridging the entire time and you spend all your fucking time trying to get that pin and trying to maintain that top position, your arms are tired, your legs are tired, you're breathing heavy,
Look, there's a
exhausting
difference.
for both.
yeah.
And not only that, there's a difference between being on top and being able to keep pressure, right?
Yeah.
Fucking totally different. Dude.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Fucking, there's people that are on top and you can move and you might not get away, but are you feeling that pressure? Is it restricting your breathing? Is it restricting your fucking movement? Like all those things. I just don't think it can happen to Izzy. I think he's too fucking lanky. I think he's too good. He's too unorthodox to keep track of. In order to take somebody down and stuff, you got to throw a couple counters and you have to understand when their punches are coming and when to shoot and when, he's too unorthodox. I don't think that's going to happen. I think either way, knockout or decision, it's convincing to me. I think it's gonna be.
And so here's another thing that I'm having problems with is because we see what Kamaru just did to Jorge. And we see what a guy who's primarily a grappler who does a lot of stuff like fucking foot stomps and working in the dirty boxing range and doing body punches and elbows and like he all he needed was one training camp from that, and he was able to absolutely starch Jorge. But he's primarily a grappler. So there's no telling because we haven't really seen this. We haven't seen this fight in 3 years. So we don't know what to expect out of either guy because we didn't get to really see a whole lot out of Israel against Jan. Like in the grand scheme of things, we didn't really see anything except for what we normally see, which is leg kicks and some counter punches, but nothing that was really hard enough that would put Jan away.
Another thing that goes in Izzy's favor too is, bro, he just dealt with a big fucking fighter, man.
Yeah. I guarantee
big
you,
fighter, dude.
I bet you Jan was probably about 225 or 230 when they got in there.
Big fucking boy, man. So it.
Polish
I just
power,
I just feel like for Marvin, everything works against him, like anything that he can do, Jan can do better.
Yeah.
That's a valid point. And Jan's striking is way better.
Yeah. So I just think that
and that taught us that Izzy's
chin
chin isn't as suspect as people were led to believe because of that knockout floating around the internet in kickboxing when Izzy got knocked out.
Yeah.
But because he took Jan's punches and that dude puts people to sleep.
No, he put Luke Rockhold to sleep.
Well,
everybody
he also
puts Luke to sleep.
he put Dominic Reyes out, broke his fucking face up. So, I mean, he's a big guy too. And Izzy was able to keep his head on his shoulders, So, and there were some clean shots landed. He didn't go to sleep.
Yeah.
So I was suspect of Izzy's chin a little bit. I was a little bit worried. I don't have any worries for it anymore. Like I don't think Marvin Vettori is the guy that's going to KO Izzy in the cage.
No,
but I've been wrong before. But I just think the odds are.
I'll be honest. I never would have thought in my wildest dreams that I'd ever see Kamaru Usman knock out Jorge. So
I could see it coming, dude. Kamaru Usman still hits hard.
No, he hits hard.
Yeah.
I mean, he broke Colby's jaw.
Yeah,
but
I don't.
Okay, so I think
I wasn't the hugest Kamaru fan. I don't doubt that.
I am
anymore.
now. I am
Yeah,
now.
I don't doubt that man at all anymore. I think he is one of the goats, like of the welterweight division.
Yeah. All right. So we're all in agreement on Izzy.
I think so.
I mean, obviously, I said some other things that sounded like I might be going for Vittori. I just think,
Hey, we're just trying to convince an argument here, you know.
yeah. Well, of course, everything that we have is opinion based because we're not professional fighters. We're not in training camps.
You just put an asterisk next to it.
Yeah.
These are the opinions of fucking morons.
These are the opinions of three dumbasses.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, the next big pay-per-view that we have is UFC 264, which is headlined by Dustin and Connor. But like, I'll just read off some of the fights here that are scheduled for this card. And I think for a pay-per-view card of this magnitude, it's a trilogy fight. We've got one finish each per guy. And this is the card that they built around it. The co-main event, Tai Tuivasa versus Greg Hardy. Before that, Gilbert Burns versus Stephen Thompson. That's a good fight.
I like that fight.
I like that fight. Irene Aldana versus Yana Kunitskaya. Sean O'Malley versus Luis Smolka. Nico Price versus Michael Pereira. Sean Brady versus Kevin Lee. Trevin Giles versus Driscus Du Plessis.
Let's just say it. They don't have to stack this card because they know it's going to sell because it's Connor and fucking Dustin.
Right there. That's exactly what it is.
But I literally I don't even know because some of these guys, like Sean O'Malley fighting Luis Smolka. Sean O'Malley he doesn't gain anything by fighting Luis Smolka. Like Luis Smolka he's not even close to top tier.
It's just because O'Malley's a gangster and they want to give him a fucking tune-up fight.
Yeah, but he just knocked the fuck out of Thomas Almeida.
Yeah. They really need to put Sean O'Malley and Cody Garbrandt because they talk shit to each other all the time. Now, do I think Sean O'Malley's on that level yet? I'm not fucking sure. But
Cody Garbrandt just got worked by Rob Font.
Yeah, but Cody Garbrandt can knock your fucking face off, dude.
Yeah. Well, that's why with all their beef and all their shit talking because of the night they had 2 KOs a piece or a KO a piece and whose was better and all that shit. I want to see the fight.
I still think Sean O'Malley had the better knockout on Eddie Wineland.
I mean, Garbrandt's fucking
that was pretty dope, dude.
It was your guys' California bias is really showing.
Dude, I'm in Montana right now. I'm a fucking O'Malley guy, dude.
I know. I'm just being a smart ass.
I got a hard out in like 5 minutes, fellas.
Okay.
So I gotta take my kid to the park.
The main thing that I wanted to say about and this was the last thing on my board too, was I don't think that card is like if the co-main event features Greg Hardy, that's a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Like there's no reason why Gilbert and Wonder Boy should not be that co-main event. They're way more. Yeah. Like they have way more.
Street cred,
more of a name.
Yeah.
More like. I don't want to watch Greg Hardy fight. He sucks.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously, I would never say that to his face because he'd kill me. But
that's scary.
But he's the Prince of War, dude. Self-proclaimed nickname, the Prince of War.
Oh.
So, but Tai Tuivasa is good. I like Tai Tuivasa, but I don't want to see them in the co-main event of that card.
Yeah.
And I don't want to and Kevin Lee.
This is a fight night caliber card, but with Connor and Dustin on it. So it sells
that's the only thing that's really going to do.
Yeah.
Like that's the only saving grace on that card.
Also, I think they're mistaken too because I don't think Connor has the pool that he once did.
No,
so
no,
you know what I mean.
It's still gonna be a big pay-per-view, but it's not the numbers that it once was.
No,
by far, especially if you don't stack it. Those other cards back in the day had good fights on them. You know what I mean? Good fighters. That's another reason why those pay-per-views sold so much. Yeah, it was to see Connor win or lose or whatever, but also they had good fights on it.
Yeah.
This one is just going to do this one's probably going to be a slightly above average pay-per-view purchase. and that's it.
Yeah.
Because the card is not that great.
Agreed.
All right, boys. Well, we've been talking for well over, almost 2.5 hours. So,
Sweet.
well, I think. Yeah. So,
Let's do it again for the next ones, baby.
yeah, well, I'm thinking maybe Sunday or Monday, if you guys want to get back together, we'll just talk about the pay-per-view card if you guys want.
Yeah, I'm down.
Cool.
And then, yeah, so those are our picks. I think it'll be a good night of fights tomorrow. And then we'll come back together on Sunday or Monday and talk about it.
Sounds good,
Sounds
dude.
good.
Appreciate
All
it.
right.
Have
All right.
fun.
All right. You guys have a good day. Talk to you later.
Until then,
boys.
lay and pray, baby.
Yeah, lay and pray.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. See you guys.
Later.